guilty of crime.
Well, we made it back to Monday, and I am your host, Jay, with Guilty of Crime. How's everybody doing today? Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Don't know if you've been following the timeline and updates on the Nancy Guthrie case. We're at a month. $1 million reward doubled down on again. FBI said, don't do it. But Savannah Guthrie has more to say. And we've got Lukey Boy that we were looking at. And Lukey Boy says, Luke says he didn't do it. So there's Luke. That just came in minutes ago. The article came out. Now he's blabbing. What's going on with this case? Anyway, let's just add this up there. And you guys can see while I say hello to everybody. Come on in. We're coming in hot today, guys. You know how we do around here. So come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. What's up, Allie Callie? How you doing today? You need updates like the background. Cheeky, what's going on? I could use some chicken enchiladas. Husky Lover, happy Monday. Felicia, it's better to say hi than bye, Felicia. Rach, how you doing? Everybody, what's up? Chris and Cool came in hot and gifted a Guilty of Crime membership. If you received that, please thank her. What's up, Rebecca? Can you hear me now? Is in chat. You guys should go sub up to her. She is Corey Michelo's grandma, and she's got a lot to say. All right. If you know that case, you know it. If you don't, you should go over there and support her channel. Anyway, Cool and Chris, thank you for starting us off with the Guilty of Crime membership. Again, if you received that membership, please thank her. Rocco's in the house. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you guys. Now, listen up, guys. I'm going to say, listen. I've been working on, first, I've been working all day, number one. Then, secondly, not only did I work all day, but I worked on 3 separate cases and I had to land back on this one. All right. So I've got updates for you up the yin yang in the David and Celeste case. I've got update ready to go. Anna Kepner, David, and then now this. Because this one is so time sensitive, I just could not see myself hopping on to giving you an update, especially when the writing's on the wall about what Savannah is trying to make a point out of saying by having Tommaso, Sione, and Annie back at the place. So that's a huge statement, guys. And I knew that Savannah was leading to this point where she was going to make a statement and she was going to, without telling the world, hey, my brother-in-law and my sister are not guilty. She didn't do that. She doesn't do that. What she does instead is she makes statements in a different fashion that says what she needs to say. And in my opinion, this is the greatest one yet. So we want to back up when we need to back up. We don't want to tread on what FBI or law enforcement is doing ever. So that being said, with that statement that's happening right there, we have to look in other directions. And if law enforcement wants us to look back over there, they'll tell us. But for right now, There's way too many theories. I'm just going to go ahead and follow the leads and the clues that they're putting out there, and then we'll speculate as much as possible. But first, we will get into what in the heck is going on day 30. Who targeted Nancy Guthrie, and will the $1 million reward make somebody talk? Who's going to flip? Now, it's finally out there, okay? Because we've been speculating like a mofo over here, right? What's up, Felicia? Thank you. I appreciate you. Past perfect. Pam, how you doing? Mods are rolling in. Synth, Mama Sage, Tony B. All right, guys, this is crazy. This case is just gets crazier by the day. However, if this were my mother, I wouldn't be able to just hop off of it and forget about it, especially since there's so many things going on, and we're finally getting confirmation. They're finally saying it, that they believe that it's two-person theory. All right. They're and I'm going to give the timeline too, because if there's not two people, they're saying the timeline is absolutely on the 11th. And then again, when she was kidnapped. And let's rewire our brains to say the last person that actually saw Nancy Guthrie alive would be that man or those men. So if you want to get literal, it was not Tommaso and Annie that saw her alive. There's the proof of life was she went in the house. If we believe the story, 2 minutes could happen. She'd get out, walk 2 minutes, and then he could close the garage door for her. So let's pretend like that happened. Let's move on to timelines, updates, who's targeting her, what's happening with the $1 million reward, why is Luke doing interviews? Why is he doing interviews? Why is Luke talking? Why are the people talking, and what is going on? So I'm just going to start off with this real quick, all encompassing. Will I say hello, get everything ready, and we get going. This case just gets crazy. But like I said, I was working on cases all day today, and I've got updates for you, and I've got a lot in this case. So let's get to it. All right, let me just start you off with this real quick. Just a 1,000-foot view of what happened today. All right. And then we're going to get into all the other evidence. They've been searching tunnels for Nancy Guthrie to see if she's down there. Maybe the people moved down there. There's a lot. We go to Savannah's Instagram page, and there's more activity. And then you look at this and you see helicopters filming them. We got News Nation on the ground. We've got JLR out there talking to people. I mean, things are moving. Is this going to be a cold case? I'm going to have to say no, and you'll see why today.
Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, and Tommaso Cioni going outside to look at the little public memorial that the public has put together in honor of their mom outside of her house. This is the first time that we've really seen the three of them standing in the front of Nancy's house like this. And this footage to me just further showcases that Tommaso Cioni was not the masked man standing at Nancy's front door. The way that he walks kind of has like a tippy toe walk to it, and his feet go out. Masked man's doesn't. Just some things that I was just comparing a few seconds ago. So take a look.
And again, if law enforcement doesn't want that out yet, let's say law enforcement says, Savannah, I got to tell you something, we're looking at your sister and her husband as suspects just because of the financial situation that's behind the scenes that nobody knows about. But what I really need you to do is just go along, be with your family. We don't know anything yet. You got to act normal. Don't tip anybody off that we've told you anything. Or maybe they said nothing and she just has complete blind faith because that's how the family is. But for now, they want us. And what's up, Mr. Mab? Lacey, how you doing? Law enforcement doesn't want us to know what they know, or they'd be telling us what they know. And so what we're doing is trying to sort it out and keep Nancy Guthrie in the spotlight so that the case does not go cold. All right. So let's continue this 1,000-foot view. I'll get into everything, the breaking news, the updates, Luke, crazy Luke. We're not going to watch the whole video, but this guy literally went on a news station and did an interview. And this is the same guy that we've been looking at here, right? This is the same guy that we've been questioning. Goes on People Magazine, or it goes on to People Magazine from Brianna Whitney, the Arizona lady that did the Lori Vallow case. So 111, say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie is brought home, whether she is alive or not. Her daughter made it very clear today to let us know that she doesn't think that she's alive, and that's what that indicates, in my opinion. Midnight Lace, good to see you. Deb's in the house. Nanny, Wesley, always big prayers. Foxy, Synth, my girl Tiff. Everybody is up in the house. Happy Monday. There's a lot.
Look at this footage and let me know your thoughts at the end. My heart really does break for them.
I'm going to turn this down right now because they're not saying anything, but I absolutely believe that this is strategic. It's a strategic move for law enforcement, and it's strategic for Nancy, or Nancy's kidnappers, or the people that, so to speak, took her life. At this point, I don't personally, in my opinion, feel like she's with us anymore. But what was the motive at this point? Because if she was dead within the first 2 days, then what was the motive all along? What was the point all along? Right? What is this, some just random person that was stalking Savannah Guthrie and her family, and then watched and came and knew the moves? I'm just asking that as a question. It's such a shame. This could have been any one of our mothers or family, and that's why I'm so hard pressed to continue the coverage until I can get a little break, because I don't want to just leave it. It's just, there's too many things going on in this case, but you can see what's going on here. I mean, it's very strategic the way they're filming it. I don't know what they're going through or how they're feeling, but prayers for that family. I don't want to imagine anyone has to go through any of that. So let's just quickly take a look at let's do this. Let's look at this real quick, because I want to show you that the man detained with his mother in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case breaks his silence, and that's the Luke person. That's Luke that I told you about. Did an interview with the news station. These guys keep talking. So this guy in the very middle, Luke, just did an interview, 14-minute interview, telling law enforcement and the world that he's not guilty of anything, which is the most wild thing I've seen in a case, because I can't understand how you could be detained and even have a search warrant and then continue to talk about the case. So this just came out minutes before we started. Nancy Guthrie, as you know, was taken from her Tucson home 30 days ago in the early mornings of February 1st. On February 10th, authorities released Nest surveillance pictures and a video of a masked armed assailant at Nancy's front door. Luke Daly, 37, was detained and then released in connection with this case. Now, Case said he has nothing to do with this abduction, and he's an Arizona man that was detained after a SWAT raid. I showed you him after the disappearance, being released, speaking out for the first time. He's saying he had nothing to do with it. On February 13th, guys, SWAT members armed with a search warrant went to Luke's house, 37, and his mother, 77, and it was about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house, and they raided it. After being held for hours, they were released without being charged, and an interview on True Crime Arizona host Brianna Whitney released this today, that Luke opened up for the first time about the incident. So this is him on X. We're not going to sit there and watch the whole thing, but I want you in your mind to start crossing people off and see what we get. Or look at this and say, wow, man, I really thought this picture matched so well. Maybe not Zach, but man, look at how close Luke's looks. And then you remove that and you add this back, and there he is doing a freaking 14-minute video about how he's innocent. So let's just watch a couple minutes so we can just rule these people out in our mind, or say, you know what, he might actually be connected with the guy that can't stop getting the 15 minutes of fame, Carlito. All right. And then I'm going to get into the timeline, the updates, the tunnels, oh my God, there's so much today. There's a new video with Savannah. There's several videos. Let's go.
This person. Is that you?
It's not me. I don't see the resemblance of it looking like me, but absolutely not.
I also want you guys to remember that law enforcement doesn't get federal search warrants based on your eyes and the shape of your eyes and the fact that you're Hispanic. I assume that a judge is not going to sign off on something like that. So when this guy says, oh, it's just his eyes and he's being Hispanic, nah, they had a search warrant and he never got arrested, but they detained him and let him go. What's happening behind the scenes and why is he talking? We're going to listen to his voice. What's up, Kathy? Good to see you, my friend. We're not going to listen to the whole 14 minutes, but I want to give you a good idea of the man that was arrested or detained and held and then let go. And then look at his eyes versus what we thought. And Mab, you're here. Mab is the one that sent me this picture. And I don't know who else has been using this picture, but we're looking at this middle guy that matched pretty well now saying he did nothing. And yes, they searched his home too. You guys didn't even know about that? Thank you, Kathy. Hi, hope all is well. Getting to start off with a $2 super sticker. Yes, you guys probably didn't even know about all the arrests. I know. I want Deception Detective on the Luke interview as well. Mab's been a member for 4 months. Let's go. All right, let's listen to his voice. I just want you guys, this came out minutes before. It wasn't incorporated into the episode, but it is now. So hang up in here, buckle up, get a blanket if you're cold, get a snack, get a drink, because we're going to be here for a while.
Nothing to do with this case.
Nothing to do with it. Do you have any idea who is involved
Me too.
in the abduction?
I don't. If I did, I would happily tell FBI, police, anything. I mean, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe. But that being said, I have nothing to do with this case, and that's it.
Explain to me.
I mean, his voice is very crackly, isn't it? He's not very sure of himself, and nobody's giving us information. It's really wild that they're not giving us information. Yeah, we do want America's mommy, Nancy, home. Now, Frank, that could be anyone's mom. That could have been my mom, and that's why I'm so passionate. I'm so close with my mom, and I could not imagine seeing myself all over the media looking for my mom. All right. What's up, Melissa? Glad you're here. Number 55. You guys do me a favor, hit that like button. Remember, all of these people had a reason that were the people that were detained. There was an actual federal search warrant. All right. And it wasn't just, oh, look at my eyes. Oh, you have the same eyes. Okay, we're going to do that. That's not it. But they keep using that excuse.
What happened on the night you were detained, where you were, you're with your car. How did that unfold in your eyes?
So I was driving home. I noticed.
All right. Do you guys do me a favor since you're rolling in? What's up, Jocelyn? Good to see you. That is Luke. And Luke Daly was one of the men that was detained. We would call it arrested and then released, but they never called it arrested. That's this guy here that we speculate. And we're not just speculating. He was detained along with his 77-year-old mother. Okay, if you guys want to watch the whole interview, put 1 in chat. If you just want to hear a few minutes of it and continue, hit 2. So 1 to listen to this guy's interview that just came out literally minutes ago. I haven't seen it anywhere. This guy was detained and released along with the 77-year-old mother via a federal search warrant. If you want to watch this, it just came out minutes ago. We can certainly do that. I'm here for the long haul. and I'm still going to continue what information I put together today. Foxy, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received that, please thank her. Connie, thank you for being a member for 8 months. OG Nanny, member for 2. Mab for 4. And Foxy coming in hot with the Guilty of Crime membership. All right, you've seen it. You must have seen it, but a lot of people haven't. So let's listen to it a bit. This guy is connected to the case, but he's telling us no.
2 sheriff vehicles following me. They pulled me over at the Culvers right there. Asked me to get out of the car. Didn't tell me what it was about. So they had me cuffed in the back of a cop car, detained. I was asking, like, what am I being detained for? And they wouldn't tell me anything. They just said that the detectives would be there to talk to me. And once I saw like FBI and all the other cars start pulling in, I'm like, oh, this is probably about the Guthrie case. I'm like, this should be easy. Like, I have nothing to do with this, so it should be not a big deal to clear my name and move on.
Right.
But the whole time during the questioning, didn't really seem like more of like a fishing expedition for them to try to get me to say something, because all the dates I was telling them where I was, things like that.
He does seem a little bit squirrely, and it's really weird. I wish we had Deception Detective to analyze this. Again, we can do the Deception Detective job, no problem. We've got our deck of cards, and we do this all the time, guys. We do this all the time, but this just came out moments ago. So, I mean, we'll listen to what he's saying, why he thinks he was incorporated, and what he wants you to think. Yeah, clean shaven and nervous as a cat. Wow.
I'm like, all you'd have to do is look at my phone and see my location. It was nowhere near anywhere or have any.
But remember this, he only lives 2 miles away. So his phone not being anywhere really means nothing, because guess what? If I'm committing a crime, guys, I'm just going to leave my phone here on my desk and then go do my thing and see, I was at home. What are you talking about? Like, what? Listen. All right. So that's where we are here. This guy has been detained. This is the news article, and he's doing an interview telling you that him and his 77-year-old mom had nothing to do with this.
Connection to this. But still, it was tough, like, being there. Like, I mean, I don't trust the FBI to the extent that I'm like thinking that there's pressure on this case and they want to find the person. So like the whole time while I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, I'm like panicking, thinking that.
And Mab, I appreciate you helping to fill this in, guys, because this case has gotten wild. Do you remember Kayla Day? Now, Kayla Day is still detained right now. And Mab is saying he says he hasn't done drugs in 2 years, but he was arrested along with, thank you for reminding me, Kayla Day, who is still locked up. She's a person in interest. So what Mab is saying is correct, that he's actually lying unless he was falsely arrested twice, one for using drugs and soliciting, and the other for not having anything to do with the Nancy Guthrie crime. All right. Did you just admit to this crime? Huh? What? What are we talking about? I wonder if it's facial. Yeah, I mean, it's really weird. He's already lying, and I mean, I've got it up as loud as I can. Let's turn it up.
I'm going to be framed for this, or they're trying to pin this on me somehow.
Did they tell you what led them to you? I mean, something made them believe they needed to talk to you about it. What was that?
I asked them. They didn't tell me any information about that. And I have thought of any type of reason why they could have come after me. But there's nothing. And I think that's why they didn't tell me.
Were you in the area of the home at the time, like the overnight, or would it have been something like, we've tracked this person near?
Well, I live near her house, but I mean, I didn't even know that until after the fact. Like, I barely just learned where her actual house was in relation to mine. So I didn't even know.
Had you ever met her?
No.
Did you know who she was?
I knew who she was because my mother was following the case.
Oh, wow.
But in terms of other than that, I would just go off what my mother was telling me.
And so how long were you detained for?
probably maybe 4 or 5 hours.
In the back of that car the whole time? And they searched your Range Rover extensively?
Yeah, they searched Range Rover. They told my
See, now listen, as we continue, you'll understand what's happening. Okay. So he's telling us that he's innocent. What's up, Indy? Good to see ya. That's what he's telling us. And I know there's a lot in this case, but this is the guy that was driving the Range Rover and was briefly detained with his 77-year-old mother. So if you say, who the heck is this, Jay? He was briefly detained and questioned and then fully released without any charges. But his picture has gone around with speculation that he's involved in the case. So that's what we're looking at right now. It just came in minutes ago. That's him in the middle. And that picture's been going around showing that he might be the masked man. Now, remember, not only are they saying that, but there was a brief time. And yeah, why the tarp? Why does that look like it matches so well? He only lived 2 miles away. How can he not be involved in this? That's what I want to know. So if you don't know who that is, you'll know now. He's briefly involved. You remember the Range Rover?
Range Rover. Did all DNA testing or whatever, and then gave it back to me.
Hey, that's fine. If he's clearing,
took my cell phone. I've had no way to get a hold of anyone, which is probably a good thing because everyone's looking at me like I'm this person that I'm not. So it's been rough.
You got your car back
Yes.
in rough condition, or was it okay?
Well, when I went to pick it up, like it wouldn't start. They, I guess they drained the battery down, and it was just covered in the whatever white substance that they use for testing.
Mab, what tarp?
But yeah, then I got it started up, and it wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't damaged in terms of like repairs or anything. But
Now, we don't have to listen to the whole interview if you don't want. If you think that he's innocent and we should just move on and say, okay, this is Luke Daly. He was detained. He's now done an interview telling us he's innocent. Leave this man alone. Now, Mab, what are you talking about with a tarp? All right. And yeah, he's speaking without a lawyer, just like Carlito. All right. Just like Carlito. So we've already done that, Mama Sage. And that's why I even brought this up. Because this picture was floating around. That guy is Luke. Luke is right in the middle. That is Luke. The guy that's giving us the interview is him. And that's the picture that's been going around. So we're trying to tell you what he's saying and clear him. If you guys don't think he's here or you don't think there's a reason, then all right, listen to the lie about, well, yeah, he did. He was arrested. Kayla Daly or something was also arrested and charged with drugs. So what does that mean? He's innocent. This guy's incapable. Now, we don't think one person is capable of all of this at all, Foxy, or anybody. My whole point today is who targeted and who's going to flip, as well as the timeline. And now law enforcement is saying they think it was either, now they're suspecting that it's more than two people or more. All right. So all of these people are talking without a lawyer. The tarp that was covering the back of the Range Rover. Well, yeah, they were looking at the back of the Range Rover. They collected evidence and they also detained him for several hours, but a day. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think people don't, let's listen a little more and then we'll continue because this is him essentially clearing himself. That's how he feels. That's just the interview. All right. This guy, Luke Daly, was swatted. A SWAT team came to his house on February 13th with a search warrant and descended on the Tucson home of Luke Daly and his 77-year-old mother, who live about 2 miles from Nancy. The 84-year-old mother of the Today Show reported. Now, after he had been held for hours, then released without being charged, he did an interview here with Brianna Whitney. All right. He believes that law enforcement zeroed in on him after people on social media started saying that he looked like the masked, armed person seen on the Nest doorbell footage on February 1st, the night Nancy vanished. Now, when Whitney told him that some people believe he's still the person seen in the video, he replied, "It's not me. I don't see the resemblance of it looking like me. Absolutely not. I have nothing to do with this case. He added, someone says something and then they just go off a based with no evidence, no truth. Daley said he had no idea who was involved, and if he did, he would let authorities know, adding, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe. Now, at the time of Daley's detainment, his attorney, Chris Schleppe, confirmed to People magazine that Daley was the subject of 2 search warrants issued and served on February 13th, 2026. Now, Daley and his mother were both detained while law enforcement did the search warrants. They executed them. All right. Neither Daley or his mother were arrested in connection to this case or on any other. Daley has no link whatsoever with Guthrie and has no information related to her kidnapping. Like the entire Tucson community, both Daley and his mother are hopeful that Nancy will be returned home, according to his attorney. The elderly mother of 3 was taken on February 1st, Nancy Guthrie. She's now been missing for a month. All right. So that's where we are in the case with him. And, we're looking for a male or multiple males, 5'9", 5'10", with specific backpacks, specific jackets. Now they're saying they think it's a different jacket on a different guy, and it could be a different time or 2 people. All right. So what Luke is saying is pertinent to the information because this is going around. That's going around. You see what I'm saying? So when I remove that and I put that back up, that's the whole deal there. That's him in this interview saying, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. Get off my back. All right. So that's that. I guess we can dig into the Luke and Zach. They both have thin eyebrows for guys. It's not a coincidence. And we could put that in our back pockets until later. All right. And yeah, his life's forever changed now. Hello, Kat. Good to see you, Joanne. All right. So there's a lot of people that I believe are intertwined in this case, guys. And I don't believe everything everybody's saying. I got to tell you that. So, let me just start off with the 4-week timeline real quick. Let's do that and get everybody on the same page. We're at 4 weeks. Here's the timeline, and then I'm going to do everything else for today. That was a side note. And Luke Daley says he's innocent. He did nothing wrong, according to him.
Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope.
Savannah Guthrie praying for a miracle and the return of her mother, Nancy. The Guthrie family upping the reward to find Nancy to $1 million this week.
But we need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
The man suspected of taking Nancy Guthrie from her home spotted not only on the doorbell camera that morning, but also in a photo from a previous day. Authorities confirming to News Nation that the suspect appeared to have visited Guthrie's home before the kidnapping. On Wednesday...
All right, so you see we're trying to build up a timeline because the night of the kidnapping on 2/1/2026 was the night where Nancy was never seen again. But prior to that, we saw a similarly dressed, masked man. Okay, that now law enforcement's finally talking and experts are finally talking and thinking that there's a second or third man involved. All right. I mean, Savannah, I can't hear what Savannah and her husband have to answer about the dealings with Epstein. I don't know about any of that. I'm sure anyone was investigated with the polygraph by FBI. She's talking directly to Hillary. That's crazy. There's speculation that she's talking to somebody that she knows out there has something against her, and she's trying to be sympathetic and gain their sympathy. That's what a lot of specialists are saying about her new released video. Thank you, Nina, for the Guilty of Crime membership. Let's continue with our timeline and the theory of 2 masked men.
Flurry of activity at Nancy's home. At 9:15 local, 2 unmarked white vehicles arrive. But it would be a short trip, with both vehicles not spending much time at the house. At 9:41, the final white SUV can be seen leaving Guthrie's home, spending less than 30 minutes inside. At 10:08, two black SUVs arrive on scene. At least 6 people would exit the vehicle and enter the Guthrie house from the garage. Later, they would inspect the backyard. At 10:20, investigators speak amongst themselves outside the Guthrie home. About 2 hours later, at approximately 12:05 p.m., they would leave the Guthrie residence for good. 3 hours, 4 SUVs, at least 8 investigators, a final sweep for evidence. What were they looking for inside the home?
And do you guys think that this is just going to, like, law enforcement got it all wrong? Every search warrant that was executed and every person that was detained and released is just completely wrong, and none of those people are connected to the case? Because if that is the case, then this case is going to go cold this week, and we're not going to learn anything more. We're going to hear that, sometime later, what happened to Nancy Guthrie, they're going to, find a body or something. But I don't think that's the case, and that's why I'm moving forward. Now, FBI moved to Phoenix with this case today. They sure did. Locals still involved, but they are teaming up on a higher level. People are speculating that FBI's taken over, but that's not the case. There are two particularly assigned people from the FBI and from Pima that are working to lead this case. So I'm not sure. Whoever did it has a lot of money to guarantee it got done. That's from Capture Dandy. I don't know. I really can't understand what the motive is if it doesn't have to do with a kidnapping. Kidnapping or ransom, unless it's just some nasty vendetta against Savannah. But let's continue. I'm trying to give you the information and we can speculate.
Clues remain. Sources confirming to News Nation that DNA found inside Nancy Guthrie's home was only a partial sample and was not viable for the CODIS DNA database. The other major piece of evidence, the glove that was found. The glove that looks similar to the one used by the suspect on the doorbell camera. Entered into CODIS, but did not produce a match. So what happens next? Can genetic genealogists use DNA from the glove to connect it to a suspect, similar to how DNA was taken from the knife sheath, the crime scene, to connect Brian Kohberger to the University of Idaho murders? Genealogists say it could take upwards of a year, and that's if they are able to isolate the mixed DNA sample. Then a match only can be made if a family member is in the database. 1 month to the day since Nancy Guthrie was last seen, authorities still searching, still looking for clues. Many questions remain, many questions unanswered.
And you guys were over here speculating that the case is going cold, and Indy, a lot of people feel the way you do. I don't think we're ever going to know the truth, but I don't think that's the case. I really, truly think they're only giving us the bits and pieces of information that are enough to keep us, okay, not bugging them and speculating. I do not think that this case is going to go cold. I cannot imagine that the FBI and Pima County are that incompetent that they have as much information and evidence that they do, that they've scoured the house multiple times and executed multiple search warrants, and they have nothing. I just can't believe that. So now I'm just going to tell you how they're framing this, in my opinion. What's up, Nina? Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. I appreciate you. And yeah, I hear that. I hear a lot of people talking about the Epstein files and how this case may be intertwined, but we're not there yet. Indy, thank you so much. Big hug to you. All right, let's continue. We've got a lot to go through today. The jab. All right, so car seen February 1st, site of Guthrie's house, where car was seen driving by. That's the big key evidence that might crack this case wide open.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
I assure you, I've got quite an episode today, and I think that car that is out there is going to be a huge key piece. Now, this today breaks. Now, remember, Savannah was on the Today Show. So the Today Show breaks down Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping. 1 month later. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that. It's been 1 month since Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy, went missing. So the Today Show used its Monday morning episode to provide an overview of where the kidnapping case currently stands. There's still a lot of hope out there. And one local Tucson woman told NBC's Liz Kreutz, who noted that law enforcement officials are still trying to piece together this unbearable mystery of Nancy's kidnapping. Now, among the leads being pursued, Kreutz said it's Ring camera footage taken by a house 2.5 miles away from Tucson residents. In the footage, a car had been seen speeding down the road around the time Nancy's believed to have been abducted. Now, according to the sheriff, Nancy's pacemaker disconnected at 2:28 a.m. and the car in the Ring footage drove by so fast 8 minutes later. Google Maps say that the drive between the two homes is 7 minutes. We did it ourselves and it took right over. So let's see what they Today has to say, and then we're going to get into the two-person theory, looking at the tunnels, the $1 million, the Instagrams. There's a lot, guys. I can't even believe how much there is.
This morning, Tucson.
They won't let me.
This morning, Tucson marking 1 month since Nancy Guthrie went missing.
There's still a lot of hope out there.
4 weeks later, investigators still.
They won't let me do it. Okay, I'm going to put it on YouTube.
This morning, Tucson marking 1 month.
Sorry, guys. You know how I don't like to, I like quality. Quantity is good, but we like quality. Right, guys? Yes. We can't stand when something doesn't have quality.
Went missing.
There's still a lot of hope out there.
4 weeks later, investigators still trying to piece together the unbearable mystery. According to FBI crime data, kidnappings involving seniors over the age of 80 are extremely rare, fewer than 1% of all abductions. Investigators continue to work several leads, including the thousands of hours of footage amassed, like that Ring camera video obtained by Fox News Digital, showing a car driving past a home 2.5 miles away around the time Nancy Guthrie was abducted. According to the sheriff, Nancy's pacemaker disconnected at—
Doesn't this ring eerily similar to the Koberger case? Now, when I say that, I'm talking about blood with genetic genealogy. That's our number one hope in this case. And then secondly, we have a car that time in the morning, within 8 minutes of a 2-mile time frame, we're looking to find that car. So it's very, very, very similar and close to the way Koberger case was solved, and we found Brian. Total Avit, bro, did you get the email? I am not sure, my friend. I have been working all day on several cases. If you want to resend it to me, I'll get it. But yeah, I'm pretty deep in 100 DNAs. Had it not been for YouTube and social media, where would we have been with the Petito case? I hope with all my heart she's found, and it's so sad. And you're absolutely right, Indy. Not only that, but the Brian Koberger case, I don't care what you say about that man, in my opinion, he's already signed, sealed, and delivered that he did it. If there's a second person or a third person, we're never going to know. But Brian Koberger, in my opinion, is convicted and where he should be. He's the monster that they should be. Now, we need to piece the puzzles together and help law enforcement. They're watching this, guys. They're saying they're watching YouTubers and social media people putting this out, that they just don't want hate mobs going to the family. And you'll see that today.
At 2:28 a.m., the car in the Ring footage drove by this house 8 minutes later at 2:36 a.m. Google Maps says the drive between the two homes is 7 minutes. We did it ourselves, and it took us just over 6 minutes.
The abductors have probably burned all their clothes. They've got rid of the car, but they can't get rid of video evidence that's in a neighbor's house, and that's a couple of miles away. So that's good. That's good evidence. Better evidence? Let's find some DNA.
Arizona State University forensic science professor April Stonehouse is an expert in mixed DNA, like the sample believed to be found at Nancy's home.
When the sheriff says that the lab is facing some challenges, what do you think that means?
I think that means that there are potentially items of evidence that maybe don't have a lot of DNA on them to begin with.
She says it's very possible the mixture is mostly DNA of just one person.
Let's say 90% of the DNA comes from the victim and only 10% is from the suspect. Then what they can potentially do is go back and rerun that sample and add more DNA, hoping to bring up the signal from the suspect.
Now, you got to remember, they don't want the perpetrator to be going off to Mexico or Guatemala or Cuba or wherever, right? They don't want that to happen. So they're not going to tell us like, oh yeah, we have the DNA right now. It's in the next 4 hours. We're going to get the results and we're going to hit these people in the middle of the night with the SWAT team. They're not going to tell us that. So we don't know how close they are or how far they are away. But like I said, the Brian Koberger case was solved very similarly as far as finding the car and the touch DNA on the sheath that came back to Brian Koberger ultimately. What's up, DJ? Good to see you. Drop your link in chat if you'd like to. Go sub up to Mr. DJ's True Crime. What's up, Lady for Justice? How you doing? I don't know about the dog, but I do hear that there are DNA evidence that's going to the Florida lab, or that's gone to the Florida lab from the gloves that were found, a mile and a half, 2 miles away, that those might be more connected and have more DNA than the one in the house. What's up, Jocelyn? Good to see you. Brady, how you doing? Pam Griffith, how you doing? All right, let's continue so we can get through this. We have a lot.
Profile, but there's no guarantee.
Meanwhile, outside the station where Savannah once worked, a growing number of messages of love and hope.
Why is it important for you to come and sign this wall? Because I'm a Tucsonan and I'm a mother, and it's heartbreaking.
Liz, let's talk about that detail, that car that drove by that appeared to be speeding away. What else did police glean from that piece of video?
Yeah, well, Hoda, I think it's important for all of us to remember right now that this is just one piece of video out of thousands.
It is one piece of video and a ton of evidence and thousands of hours, but I got to tell you, this is very pertinent, especially when you look back at the Tepe case. Just weeks ago, the Tepe case was literally not solved. I wouldn't say solved because Michael hasn't been, charged and trial and all that. But with that key piece of evidence of a man slumping, walking around, they made an arrest, and hopefully a good one. Spitting with Tiffany and Texas Rose. What's up? Spin it. How you doing? All right, band member, baby Annie. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that law enforcement just has this all wrong, but they're not going to tell us if they're going to do a SWAT at 2 a.m. tonight.
Thousands of hours of footage investigators are looking at, most of which has not been made public. That's what I can tell you from doing the drive is that, well, it is definitely not the fastest way out of Nancy's neighborhood. It is a route that would avoid the biggest intersections. And while the timing wasn't exact, given there's a lot of unknowns right now, we don't know what route they could have taken or how long it would have taken them to get out of the home. It isn't out of the realm of possibility. The timing would line up, and we do know that it is part of the investigation, Hoda.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. And as always, if you have any information, any that could be helpful, please call this number, the FBI's tip line. It is 1-800-CALL-FBI.
And again, a reminder, there's a $1 million reward that's being offered by the family, and you can report any information anonymously. Anonymously. Hey.
And they're continuing to push that out there. Savannah would be ready. Savannah would pay right now. If somebody would go directly to her, I think she would just be like, any hope. All right, there's her page. She posted this from being outside. We feel love from our neighbors, etc. All right, and you saw them out there. I'm going to now talk about the suspect that visited the home prior to and the two-person theory. And we're going to see what she has to say later, but this is basically what she's been putting up there. I've been following her Instagram. This
to know where she is. We need her to come home.
And the closer we get, she's even saying now she doesn't think she's alive.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night.
All right, we're going to continue. I'm not going to watch the whole thing here because I don't want to make you guys watch it a bunch of times. Did they say if the car was white or black? Night vision reverse the color sometimes. They did not. They don't want to, I don't think they want to tell us I don't think they're going to tell us solidly it's white or it's black. I think if somebody recognizes that car, or what kind of model, or you have leads on it, they don't want people just calling in saying, oh yeah, it was you said it was white, okay, there's a white car. I think they want a little bit more fishing than that. And we're gonna get into this new plea for her mother where you can tell that she's saying, Savannah's saying, I don't think my mom's alive anymore. We just want her home at this point. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Let's look at they're finally telling us about 2 different visits, and they think it's 2 people. Finally. I know we've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks, but law enforcement and the news hasn't. They were treating this as it was one person.
Of Arizona in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Look at these photos. It appears that the masked suspect who was caught on Nancy Guthrie's front door camera went to her home before the night that she disappeared. These 2 photos of the suspect were taken on 2 different nights. That is according to sources who spoke with News Nation. You can see in the photo on the left, he's not wearing that backpack or the gun holster that he has in the front on the photo on the right. Let's go right now to News Nation's Brian Enton live for us in Tucson. Brian, how did they get this second photo? Is this from the same Google?
Again, we've been talking about this for weeks and nobody's confirmed anything. Oh, wow, Nina, you drove that route. It was 6 minutes. I've also thought it was more than 1. Well, they're finally saying that right now. Okay. So not only are they saying that, but I think Savannah's being real, and she's going by statistics and what FBI and law enforcement are telling her. And she realizes the situation that her mother is in.
Search of the software from that front doorbell Nest camera?
Yeah, it appears to be from the same camera, Elizabeth, and this is something that has perplexed us for a while because the photos look different. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack? That was the first thing I noticed. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack in one photo, which you see there on the right, and not wearing the backpack in the photo on the left? And now we do have sources confirming to us the reason is because the photos were taken on different days. We know.
Again, they're finally coming to the conclusion that they were taking on different days, but they also aren't wearing the same clothes. They're not of the same stature. Why are they not saying that? Again, I don't know. I don't know what their I don't know what their meaning is behind what they're telling us and what they're not. I know it's like we're going in a circle, but we don't want this to go cold. More volume. Huh? Is it low? All right, let's continue.
One of the photos is from the day that Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, early morning hours of February 1st. When that other photo was taken, we do not know the day, but we know that it was not at the same time that the other photo was taken when Nancy was kidnapped. It was a previous day, which would indicate that the suspect was at Nancy's house days before the kidnapping, Elizabeth.
That is chilling. All right, Brian Enton, we'll have the very latest from Tucson. Thank you so much, Brian, for that breaking news update.
Thank you for watching.
And it's weird because this just came out that they're saying this is breaking news. Like, we've been talking about this for weeks now. I don't see how they find this to be breaking news. All right. I'm just going to quickly show you this, and then we're going to get into the searches, the tunnels, the $1 million, and everything else. And again, I think this was absolutely orchestrated in the perfect way to tell people to back off of Annie and Tommaso. And Clementine, I think the reason people are so sure that the person knew Savannah is because we're still calling it, and so is law enforcement calling it, a targeted event, a targeted kidnapping, or maybe it was a targeted murder. We don't know what the end result is, but targeted usually means somebody that knows you. But in her case, it could be one of her viewers. It could be one of Savannah's viewers that doesn't like her or that knows her online. And yeah, but that's why, because we're calling it targeted. You're not low, but media clip. I know, and I'm doing my best here, guys, with the media clips. I mean, look at how they're framing this. This is Savannah, this is Tommaso, and this is Annie. And we've heard talk behind the scenes like, please stop blaming these two. They've got kids that they're raising. This guy's a teacher. They work, they go to school, and they don't want to be blamed. And then right after they said that, this comes out. I mean, it kind of shows you how close Savannah is to Tommaso. Look at how they're hugging. They've been together for like 20 years, right? All right. So, I mean, there's a reason for the way that they're staging things. I got to tell you, there's a reason why they're not telling us things. There's a reason why they're telling us, etc. So, let's put this up for a minute. Take a look back at these guys. Yeah, I'd love to hear your comment. What do you think the point of this was? If it wasn't for kidnapping money, if it wasn't to get a reward, if it wasn't to get money, what was this for? I mean, what's the point of all this then? All right. What's the point? But they're still calling it targeted. So I want you guys to know that they're calling this targeted. And that's why people are saying that the person must know Savannah and family. All right. We're going to talk about the $1 million reward, double down on tunnel search, and the suspect that visited the place. And hopefully it gets louder for you. All right. Let me move this, and hopefully we can get that volume up. Sometimes those clips. All right. Did anyone see the tunnel searches or any of that? Let me know.
Breaking news out of Arizona and the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Look at these photos. It appears that the masked suspect who was caught on Nancy Guthrie's front door camera went to her home before the night that she disappeared. These two photos of the suspect were taken on 2 different nights. That is according to sources who spoke with News Nation. You can see in the photo on the left, he's not wearing that backpack or the gun holster that he has in the front on the photo on the right.
Yep.
Let's go right now to News Nation's Brian Enton live for us in Tucson. Brian.
And there's certain people that you want to follow in the case that are on there, like Brian Enton. He's there day in and day out. He's got he's got information. Now, Ashley Banfield had original, like the very first information where Tommaso was allegedly the last person to see Nancy alive. And so she followed that lead. But that's not the case anymore. And they've actually never said that. All right. You're not getting notices. Oh, man. Well, I'm here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I think it's an obsessed fan wanting to hurt and control Savannah, a sicko like a stalker. See, and I was going to that place too when I listened. We're going to listen to the new plea, which looks like it's old, but she's doing another plea again, Savannah, to double down on that. We're giving away $1 million for information, whether my mother's alive or not. All right. And Lucky Shine, thank you for being here. And thank you for the $2 towards the goal. Things the purpose are right. That very clear. Good call.
And how did they get this second photo? Is this from the same Google search of the software from that front doorbell Nest camera?
Yeah, it appears to be from the same camera, Elizabeth, and this is something that has perplexed us for a while because the photos look different. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack? That was the first thing I noticed. Why was the suspect wearing the backpack in one photo, which you see there on the right, and not wearing the backpack in the photo on the left? And now we do have sources confirming to us the reason is because the photos were taken on different days. We know.
It's like we figured this out last week. Why is this breaking news now? I'm wondering what they know that they're not telling us. Mab says on my way back, do they still? Yes, they do. Mab, here's the thing. They have everybody's everything as evidence. But yes, they still have Annie's car as evidence. All right. And so that's why people are also still speculating. They've collected these pieces of evidence and haven't given them back. So we're all still looking at these people. Also, didn't she have like 300-400 that wasn't taken? They didn't take anything. That's why we believe it's targeted. They took nothing. There was nothing missing out of the house that they could account for that we know about.
One of the photos is from the day that Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped, early morning hours of February 1st. When that other photo was taken, we do not know the day, but we know that it was not at the same time that the other photo was taken when Nancy was kidnapped. It was a previous day, which would indicate that the suspect was at Nancy's house days before the kidnapping, Elizabeth.
That is chilling. All right, Brian Enton will have the very latest from Tucson. Thank you so much, Brian, for that breaking news update.
We have new developments this morning in the Nancy Guthrie case. There's renewed focus on images of the masked man caught on her doorbell camera right on her front porch. One of the suspect without a backpack, stirring questions over whether or not he may have shown up at her door days before her abduction on February.
Now, why does that make a difference? It makes a difference because they could now go back and ask the neighbors and anyone in the surrounding areas for more information. Jay, look at the video JLR made, because you're not going to believe the card and the flowers Annie laid at the memorial. Such a shame. All right, I will take a look. We did take a look at the memorial quite a bit, but Sophia, also, if you want to send me an email with that. All right, just letting you know, I agree with the stalking went out of control. Absolutely, the stalking went out of control. And it's absolutely premeditated, and it's absolutely targeted now that we know that somebody went there prior to kind of scope the place out and then came back. But I ask you, how is that? How you tell me that that's one person when the first person that went saw the cameras, okay? And then when they went back the night that she went missing, they all of a sudden, well, I got to get the shrubbery. Would they forget about the cameras? I don't think so. It's got to be two or more. All right. Did anyone see or hear Annie's house with the coyotes howling? I did not. Now, if you've been watching JLR all day long, then you probably have, and it's good to talk about. Nina, thank you so much. All right, let's continue on this two-person theory and this tunnel searches, etc.
First. News Nation national correspondent Nancy Lou is outside the Guthrie home in Tucson for us. Nancy, also have to mention right off the top, there's no confirmed timestamp on these images. So what are investigators saying about them?
Well, Marky, this new information about the suspect seems to indicate that Nancy Guthrie and her home were targeted and that her abduction apparently involved surveillance and planning. Sources are telling News Nation that the image of the suspect at the front porch without a backpack on the left side here is from a day sometime before February 1st, and the image on the right is from that morning of the kidnapping with what looked to be the same masked man at the front door, this time with a backpack and a gun in a front holster. The sheriff's department acknowledged those images last night, confirming they are aware the suspect appears in.
But here you go. Look at the suspect coming out, and he's like, oh, shoot, I got to go get some flowers now. The first one had already been there prior to. Wouldn't he have scoped that out and known? So you tell me if there's one or two people involved and why somebody would pre-plan this and go check it out and scope out how it works at night and then come back and not know the camera's there. Make that make sense, all right? Make it make sense.
Different stages of attire, but warned there are no date or timestamps on the footage, calling any suggestion that the photos were taken on different days purely speculative. Now, it's suspected to be why the FBI and Sheriff's Department have been asking neighbors for any security footage of suspicious people or cars since the start of the year.
See, that's purely speculative that was even on another day. All right. Purely speculative. That could not be on another day. And yeah, there could be a lady involved also. The perps are playing a cruel mind game. I believe you. I believe that. But we're coming back to at least law enforcement is finally saying, okay, here's what we have. Here's what we don't have. And Savannah thinks that her mother is no longer alive, but still wants to give the reward to bring her home. That's what I gather.
And according to some neighbors, law enforcement have had particular interest in footage from January 11th. With the doorbell camera apparently taken by the suspect, it's not known what caused the blood splatter outside the front door. Testing confirmed the blood was Nancy Guthrie's. The 84-year-old was reported missing at around noon on Sunday, February 1st, when she failed to join friends for an online church service. And after 2 raids on persons of interest, which didn't pan out, and multiple ransom notes with threats and financial demands that have also faded away, the search for Guthrie is.
Yeah, you should do me a favor and email me, Christopher, guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. All right, I'll keep that up there for a moment while we do this.
Now well into a 4th week. More specific information about these suspect images could help with identification, and the sheriff's department.
And that car, guys, I'm telling you, when you look at this place, and those of you that are out there, there's someone that said they drove and it was a 6-minute drive. We've seen JLR, we've seen Dolly. When the lights go out and the media is gone, it is pitch black. And not because they don't want it to be lit, they don't want it to be lit up. Trust me, there's floodlights and stuff, but they like their peace and their quiet and their dark nights, and they use the lights if they can. But this is not a neighborhood where a random car would be driving by 8 minutes after Nancy's pacemaker goes out coincidentally on that night. And then you get these scary ass masked men. That is not a coincidence, okay? I assure you. So that car and the DNA are key. And yeah, there could be another distraction, but a distraction from what?
Is still working to pinpoint details about the man's shoes, his pants, as well as his jacket. And Marky, I don't know if you notice in the side-by-side, that jacket, maybe 2 different jackets. It certainly doesn't look to be the same jacket in that side-by-side picture. Let's take a listen to this new message from Savannah Guthrie.
Okay, and this is new. I did not play the whole thing until right now because I didn't want to give you just double information. And I want to get through timeline updates. Who targeted Nancy Guthrie, and will the $1 million reward make someone talk? Guys, we've been here 1 hour and 6 minutes and we just got started. So do me a favor. We have 246 people in chat. If you would hit that like button for me, subscribe if you haven't, and get a membership if you can. All right. Appreciate you. I'll gift some memberships here in a bit.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed.
Again, this is the one that I was playing from Instagram earlier, but I didn't want to play it and then play it again. So we're going to listen to the whole thing through. And on this one, at this point, I believe Savannah knows in her heart that her mom's no longer with us, guys.
And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then, of worrying about her and fearing for her, and aching for her, and most of all, just missing her, We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return. And we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home. Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that.
And again, she uses the embers of hope, but she also frames it with you, letting you guys and me know, back off of my sister. She has nothing to do with this. We're all struggling. And then after that, the 3 of them go and do a PR stunt where all 3 of them are crying and putting out flowers. And again, I don't think that they're not being genuine, but I know that they don't want their lives destroyed, their children being followed, and the people being targeted, whether they're involved or not. And I also hope that I just gifted 5 memberships for you guys. If anyone wants to gift a membership, match me, you can, or get yourself one. If not, it's all good. I hope that you got a membership and you needed one. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. mad prayers for Nancy and her family. They need it. I cannot imagine this, and I don't want to imagine this.
She may be lost. She may already be gone. She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves and is dancing in heaven with her mom.
So what I'm thinking and what other profilers have said about this is that FBI and the hostage situation, hostage kidnapping people that work in this helped her to write this. If you notice, she'll keep looking down, but they're also making her look empathetic. They want you to have empathy for her, and they want her to have empathy for them. It's all framed out what they're doing. This may be somebody that just targeted Savannah and didn't get what they wanted. Maybe some scary stalker. It is targeted. It doesn't mean it was a family member, but it means it's somebody that knows how that household works. They know what time Nancy does this, what time she does that. They know how she moves. When she moves, they pre-scoped it out. Okay, so she's doing this in a very directed way. This is not just out of her heart. It's by design.
And her dad, and with her beloved brother Pierce, and with our daddy. And if this is what is to be, then we will accept it.
And you hear how she does that. If this is to be, rightfully so. What she's saying is if her mom's no longer alive, she still wants her home. Nobody wants to say that. And Kathy, I'd heard that there was a mechanic out there before, and Nancy probably gave a bunch of keys with her car, and the house key could take an imprint and let himself in. Absolutely. But it's still targeted, and it's still, it's a personal thing. They knew. All right, Jules, thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships. If you received a membership, please thank Jules. All right, let's continue.
But we need to know where she is.
We
need
her
her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million.
There it is, a family reward.
For any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800-TIP line. You can be anonymous if you want. Someone out there knows something that can bring her home. Somebody knows. And we are begging you to please come forward now.
I don't think Savannah knows anything about this, but I think what you might be picking up, Deborah, is that she has knowledge that we don't have. She's working with the FBI and law enforcement to be the person that interacts with the person or people that took her mother. And they may not have even done it as a kidnapping situation. That was just a second. That was like their backup plan to get money. She was already gone, in my opinion. So I'm going to tell you right now, I absolutely don't think that Savannah has anything to do with this. And what you might be reading from her is the knowledge that she has that we don't, because of course she's going to have more knowledge than we do. Jules to Cali too, thank you so much for the super chat. I take care of my grandparents for over 10 years. They were security and we could not force them to do anything. Agreed. Imagine offering a family reward that's nowhere near the ransom demand and offering it and cleaning the house out the next day. Right. FBI is not going to talk, but she's working with the hostage negotiators, FBI in Pima County, to get this message out.
We also know that we are not alone in our loss. We know there are millions of families that have suffered with this kind of uncertainty.
I do.
And for that reason today, we also are donating $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their work in helping families who are coping with loss and actively looking for those who are lost. We are hoping that the attention that has been given to our mom and our family will extend to all the families like ours who are in need and need prayers and need support. So please, if you hear this message, if you've been waiting and you haven't been sure, let this be your sign to please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home so that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful, brave, and courageous and noble life that she has lived. Please be the light in the dark. Thank you.
And again, she's keeping herself together. It's very strategic. This is not something that you would just start filming without writing it down and making sure that you're being empathetic to the people that you're talking to and that they're going to be empathetic towards you. It's strategic, all right? Nina, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. Mr. Bot, welcome. Good to see you. Let's continue. We've got a lot. Savannah is not involved in her abduction, but she left her mom in care of two ghouls. And in your opinion, Coley, because right now law enforcement doesn't want us looking at it like that, but we're getting into the right after this, we're going to get into the premeditated and organized crime. And guys, will the possible Nancy Guthrie accomplice or anybody that's intertwined that knows about this case be tempted by that reward money that they keep saying, even if it's a body, even if it's a piece of evidence that's going to lead to her body, she's willing to pay $1 million for. Somebody's going to flip, in my opinion. But that's what we're going to talk about.
Our Nancy Lou back there in Tucson, we just listened to that together for the first time. Nancy Lou, that was just absolutely heart-wrenching and very powerful. Yeah. Asking for anybody to, like, now is your moment. This is it. What did you make of the words and the reward that was offered, and also a reward for other missing families who are dealing with unbearable loss as well?
Yeah, it's just heart-wrenching to see and hear, and you just feel that pain that they are going through. But a $1 million family reward, I mean, that's remarkable. And hopefully that does bring the information that can, crack this case. And
tell me this doesn't make you want to cry. I mean, I don't cry often, but I'm listening to these ladies and I'm just seeing her expressions and her body language, knowing that it was strategic in the way they set it up. And boy, if I was that person she was talking to, which is what they're doing, is I would want to reach out to somebody and let them know, hey, my boyfriend was talking to somebody and one of his friends did this. Maybe it's him. I mean, they really did a good job at this, I gotta say.
Sadly, she also acknowledged that Nancy Guthrie may already be gone home to heaven, but they need to know where she is.
We're not going to forget about the Nancy Guthrie story. As a matter of fact, we're headed to Arizona right now. It's day 23 in the search for Nancy, and our senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, is on the story live from Tucson from the beginning. Okay, Brian, what about today, even over the weekend? What are we learning?
And that's what we're coming off of. Today's Monday, March 2nd, and we're rolling in from the weekend evidence until today. Now, all of this is up-to-date information from last night moving forward to today. And the Luke interview that I showed you earlier came out minutes before I started streaming. And thank you, Michelle. 77-year-old Iona Bernice Deese missing, Maricopa County. I did see that. All right. Last seen February 26th at her home in Mesa. Last spoken to on February 27, 2026. There's been a string of weird things going on and robberies in that area, but I suspect this is something else. Shaming them on exactly. And that is why I said if law enforcement wants us to look at the family, they will, but they don't want us looking at the family, and they're strategically doing what they need to get us off of that. They don't want anybody getting hurt. All right, we got what we got tonight, Jay. What's up? Oh yeah. We're looking in tunnels for not only for Nancy but for any evidence. And the United Cajun Navy came in and offered their help, and they did an interview as well as to why they wanted to help. We'll get to that later tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that it's now day 23. I can't quite wrap my mind around it. It's now been three weeks, but we're still here. We're in Tucson. There were searches that happened all weekend long. Connell, I wanted to show you actually one of the areas where these volunteer searchers came out this weekend. There's these underground tunnels in Tucson that I didn't know existed until people started to talk about them. And the search crews actually came in several of these this weekend just to look, because you think about there's only so many places that the law enforcement can go, but when these volunteers get involved, they can really spread out, and that's what they did. So they were in these tunnels. They searched pretty much this entire one. We'll lose service if we keep going, but we walked through the entire thing too. They actually found a backpack in this area.
You hear that? So they're finding things, guys, and this is not only are they finding things, but they're searching everywhere and they're gathering bits and pieces of information that none of us know about. All right, that's why these boots on the ground people are doing what they're doing. All right, water runs off. If Annie and Tommaso not involved, putting on a great act, except Annie crying sounds fake. Yeah, it is. Can you even imagine thinking about your mom being taken through there or evidence being taken? Thank you, Since. Everything in one place, guiltyofcrime.com by Jay's favorite mod. Yes. This is scary just even thinking about what could have gone on down here.
And the Pima County Sheriff's Office came out to actually collect the backpack and take it into evidence. It didn't seem to match the backpack that we've seen in the surveillance photos and video, but still, nonetheless, these volunteers do seem to be helping. Now, day 23, law enforcement sources who I've talked to say it is not a cold case, Connell. They seem to emphasize that, though there haven't been any significant updates that have come out today, Connell.
Where I'm trying to understand these tunnels. So that's like in downtown Tucson, or like right outside the city, or like what's the deal with the tunnels exactly again?
Yeah, so these tunnels, they're actually not downtown. These are close to where Nancy lives. So we're like, in the foothills outside of downtown. And I think they're drainage tunnels. So the water would rush through here when there's big rains. But, homeless people come down here and these volunteer search groups just figure like, we need to go through the tunnels. You would never know, if someone was down here, so they did. Luckily, no one was found. But again, they did find some belongings that they handed over to law enforcement.
Okay, that makes sense. Now you had another special this weekend, I know, on Saturday night, where you were like taking questions right from viewers and whatnot. So did anything stand out in terms of what people were asking or what might help the investigation? Or
one of the big things that people were talking about, and this is new that came out over the weekend, the sheriff actually said this, is that they're having challenges with the DNA, Connell, which is something that we didn't know about. Not really good news. They sent the DNA to be tested, the DNA from Nancy's house and also from the glove, to be tested at the private lab in Florida. And now the sheriff is saying that there have been challenges. That's the word he used, because
at least he's telling us anything, but this is what I was telling you earlier about the glove that was recovered miles away, and then there's a glove recovered in the house, and they're having trouble with the DNA, the degradation, the mix, what have you. I'm sorry, the dogs are barking. Did they find my bike? I don't know what about your bike, but what's up, Sadie's mama? They have no evidence. What can they possibly have? Well, that's what we want to know. I was the eye man, professional lube job. All right, let's continue.
There may be more than one person's DNA all kind of combined. And he's saying it could take weeks, months, and he said maybe even a year. So that was something that came up during the special that just concerned a lot of people. Gosh, because we thought maybe we would get the DNA test results back sooner.
We have news in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Now 3 weeks in. A new appeal from her daughter, Savannah. Take a listen.
I don't know why they're going on to that.
And what are these recent glitches in the investigation? Senior correspondent Brian Enton is live outside the Guthrie home. Brian, let's start with Savannah's effort. Do we know what it's pinned to?
Well, we know that it was planned for a couple of days, Chris. She put up the $1 million reward, also $500,000 to the Center for Missing and Exploited Children as a donation. And we have learned that she actually wanted to go with the $1 million reward early on, day 1, day 2.
Okay, and so this is what I was trying to get across to you guys. She would have been happy to pay it initially right away, but law enforcement said no way, no how. That is not a good idea. You're going to get people that are coming out of the woodworks that want to collect that money that have nothing to do with it. Professional lube jobs says kids get trafficked every day, but everyone's worried about an 89-year-old woman who's not coming back. Well, I think everybody's worried about It's like if that happened to your mother, and yeah, you're right. Kids are getting trafficked every day and raped and all the other things. But we care equally about everyone. Just there's different time sensitivities. All right. This is very time sensitive. In a couple of days, if there's no new evidence, no new information, there's not going to be any boots on the ground people there anymore. And it's going to lose its momentum. And who knows what's going to happen to any of the leads or any of the video that they're pleading for. All right. So let's continue.
After her mom was missing, but we are told that she was convinced by law enforcement not to do it at that point because they thought it would just overwhelm the tip lines. And now obviously with
Yep, it would overrun the tip line. She'd give it out and she'd never see her mom again. She wasn't being cheap. This is all advised by ransom, the people that work in hostage situations and ransom notes and all that.
no good leads from what we can tell, she's now decided on day 24 to go with the $1 million reward. A couple of other developments, Chris, with the DNA. Remember, we were so hopeful about the DNA found inside Nancy's house that didn't connect to her and didn't connect to anyone within her circle. Well, there's big problems with that DNA. The sheriff over the weekend said challenges. We have sources today saying that the DNA is just flat out not viable and it cannot even be entered into the CODIS database, which is a big problem. And then lastly, I told you last night about the pictures, the surveillance photos, how one of them is from a previous day. Our sources are standing by that. The sheriff has come out and said that it's speculation. He doesn't like that reporting. We've double checked with all of our sources today, and they again say, yes, they are from different days, which again would show that this guy was likely stalking the house, casing the house well before Nancy's kidnapping.
That or there's two. And will that possible accomplice be tempted by the reward now? All right, that's what we're going to get into. Let's drop this down and continue. I mean, all victims matter, but remember, this is going to change. This is going to change really quickly when media leaves and nothing new's coming out. All right, will the possible accomplice be tempted by money? And again, I think this is way more than one person. I absolutely think there's two or more involved. And I'm not saying that the two or more involved were actually at the scene necessarily, but I believe that Nancy was pulled out of her bed by more than one person, two people. And I think that those are absolutely two different people, but they also have an outside person that maybe handled the wallet. They don't even have to be in the same proximity, right? Some channels are saying that she was possibly assaulted. Yeah, I saw that, but that's Joseph Morgan or one of the, yeah, that's a highly speculative Sadie's mama, highly speculative. And I wanted to just get into the information today that's being put out and confirmed by media and law enforcement. Although law enforcement saying they're not confirming that these are on different days, even though they're different jackets, no backpack on one, a backpack on another.
Person to come forward and essentially rat the other person out. There's $1 million reward now. It seems like that could be one of the ways this could be solved. And so many of the retired FBI agents who I've talked to say that they think that is what is going to happen here eventually. Why it hasn't happened yet? When will it happen? Could there be some kind of arrangement made so the person could get the reward and avoid jail time? That's what I'm going to get into in this episode of Brian Ensign Investigates. I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell.
All right, let's go forward. This is a great, oh my goodness, this is great. Stay here, hit that like button, subscribe.
And it's part of the human condition for all of us to be greedy. $1 million is a lot of money.
All right, so we're going to start with that. And again, I believe you and everybody that says this is not what solves the case. Money is not going to bring her back. Okay. Yes, that's what we're trying to do right now, is stick to the facts and then go with a little bit of like, okay, I can absolutely tell you, I do not think that is the same jacket. Although Kat thinks it's the same jacket, I also got to say that they agree and others agree. So there's facts and speculation. Men always act alone, manly style. Interesting. All right, well, let's continue.
It's going to change someone's world.
Yep.
If there's more than one person involved in this, which I believe there is, They're now in an air fryer, and it's just who's going to jump out first. Because if we put ourselves in the minds of the perpetrators here, Brian, you're like, we can't say anything. We're going to go to prison. Yeah, one person's going to go to prison, but we all know if the accomplice comes forward and gives up the guy, there's a really good chance he can get off.
Absolutely. Every time that happens. And thank you, Chris, for sending that over. Now, people were talking about the man on the porch and what was in his pocket. All right. When he picked up the plants, people were looking at his pocket where something was hanging out. And Chris is saying when he dropped her off before the garage door closed, number one went under. I can't tell you how I know. And then there's another guy at the porch, the guy on the porch, there's something sticking out of his pocket. People are speculating that was a walkie-talkie. And thank you for refreshing me, Chris, on that, because I did see that last week where people were like, what was in his pocket? Do you see the thing coming out of his pocket from the side? We also looked at the image where we looked like we saw a second person coming out from the side with a cell phone light. Okay, so those are the two things that I'm going to remind you of, and the fact that something was sticking out of the pocket, and if it was a walkie-talkie, yes, it did look like an antenna. What's up, Ebony? Good to see you, girl. Come on in. Hit that like button. I agree. I agree. But again, my theory is that there are two or more people, and that's what we're talking about right now. And is that second or third person going to flip and get a deal? The reward money's go for the going. She didn't say, hey, if you were part of this or you knew about it, you don't get it. So what's going to happen here?
And get $1 million. He wasn't going to get $1 million from the architect of this whole operation initially, was he? No. He was probably going to get, who knows? I mean, people do this stuff for as little as $2,500. So whatever the amount is, and then when the amount went up to $1 million, the heat went up.
Skyrocketed, yep.
1,000,000 degrees. I mean, this person is thinking about it, and the other person involved knows they're thinking about it. So the other side of that coin is there's $1 million on the table. They can get it. Apparently, they can do it without being traced. They can pick it up in cash at a post office. Okay. I'm not sure how that would work, but might be able to.
Now, let me just answer the question. I know it sounds funny, but it's actually over $1 million now. Somebody in chat put it earlier. It's like it's $1 million, and then there's another 200,000 on top, and then 50, whatever. What they're saying up to $1 million is that they will split it. If there are multiple people out there that get to find, let's say there's 5 people involved and 2 separate people come forward and point law enforcement at the car, and then the other person points law enforcement at one of the 3 men or one of the 3 men or women that did it, they're going to split that reward. That's what that means by up to $1 million, depending on who does what. They don't want you to think, oh, shoot, if John gets it in first, he's going to get the $1 million. No, my friends. When this case is solved and they either find Nancy Guthrie's body or make an arrest and have the evidence, then they're going to break that money up to, and it is over $1 million now. All right. Do you think there's 2 or more masterminds I absolutely think there's 2 or more people involved. I don't know about masterminding though. Ebony says, in my opinion, I think the man or men on camera have already been disposed of. Interesting. That's the first time I've heard anyone say that. That's interesting.
I mean, I guess if he walked in dressed like the porch pirate, he showed up on Nancy's porch, maybe. But if that's the case, why isn't someone coming forward? I mean, when you look at the other side of that coin, there's only one reason they can't, and it's because they're the only one and they're the only one responsible, or, I can't come forward because I kidnapped her and now she's gone. But to your first question about this being a cold,
and here, this is the thing, and she's going to answer that cold case. This is not going cold just yet, my friends. All right, and Beat, I gotta say, I gotta agree with you on that. I've always thought that when they came back and they tested DNA, and they said, well, there's no real evidence. There's a lot of DNA in the house, but all the DNA are people that are supposed to be there, and then one that's mixed that doesn't belong there. That's the one that's degraded and might not come back with any information. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, wait a minute, if the DNA is there and it was people that were supposed to be there, well, then people that were supposed to be there are the ones that did this. And you're right. You can't just claim the money and all of a sudden your sister now has $1 million and you don't know about it, or someone close to the family. All right. So this case, either way, I agree. It's a sad case. And we need to help bring Nancy Guthrie home. Right. And spread the word so it doesn't get cold. That's the answer, or that's the question here. Will it go cold?
Case. I don't think it's cold at all. There's so much follow-up on any investigation, but one of this size and this importance, there's a ton of follow-up. Everything from subpoenas to bank records, to phone records, to all the follow-up on all the footage that they've collected. And how much footage do you think they've collected? Is there any?
It's thousands of hours is what I heard.
Yeah.
The FBI is going through that. I told you earlier, I think it's probably traffic cameras. Cause just knowing the neighborhood, there's not that much Ring camera. I don't think I guess there could be if someone gave up their whole month of video or something, but
I think,
yeah. So there's not only going over the video, which is challenging, as I think you guys all got a little taste of when we saw the video from Camino Real the other day. It's very challenging.
Now, Duty Ron did a quick clip that said that FBI is now in charge, or why is FBI now in charge? But according to what I'm reading, FBI is not in charge, but they've made sure that there was somebody at the forefront of FBI and at the forefront of Pima that are heading this together. That's what they're saying, and they're no longer battling it out. But that could be, who knows? Some scapegoat will come along and no one will believe he did it. I hope not, because people say that about Koberger and Richard Allen, and I don't believe that at all. I don't believe in that.
We're talking enhancements too. You have to slow all this footage down. You have to enhance it in different ways. You have to try to figure out what type of vehicle it is. From there, you do what we call chase the vehicle. So you're chasing the vehicle around the neighborhood. Let's say we find out it is a white Kia Soul that people are looking for, even though I know that's been discounted. Now we're going to start looking for white Kia Souls in other parts of the neighborhood, on other days, at other times, back on January 11th. Those days are important for a reason. Someone saw something and it's they're looking at that. So when you have all this footage, and then you're also thinking of January 11th, and then you're also trying to identify vehicles and enhance things and compare and contrast that with any of the geofences that are up and the phone numbers in those areas. And the other thing to look at.
And you know what? It is interesting to think about when Tommaso dropped off Nancy, that maybe somebody was already there and waiting, and they went under the garage door. Maybe when she got in, she went to close it, and someone snuck under that door, and maybe Tommaso didn't see it, or they snuck under and they opened that right side door, because all garages have another door to get in from the outside. There's so many things. Instead of thinking of everything as a conspiracy, yes, Cat H, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is take the evidence that we have and move forward with that. Right? It's not him. His eyebrow bone is too low. All right, let's continue. It's absolutely staged. We know that.
That is all the cars that have no active connection in their car. So they don't have a car that connects to the that emits or is able to get picked up in a geofence, and they don't have a phone in the car. Those people would go to the top of my list. Who drives around with their phone off or without a phone?
Exactly.
Right. It was like Brian Koberger turned his phone off.
Exactly.
And that was one of the big things that.
And you got to remember, these people that the law enforcement is detaining and then releasing, thus far, they've talked about their phone and like, oh, you can check my phone, or my phone's been at home because I wasn't there. But that's what happens. All right. Yeah, this came out last night. yeah, I'd like to say I don't believe there's no evidence. I believe there's no evidence that they're giving to us right now. I cannot imagine that every piece of evidence that they've gathered from that house is a nothing burger. I don't believe
It
it.
was bad for his defense.
Because that was the absence of normalcy.
Right, right. When you said that, someone could come forward, it's $1 million now, someone who's, an accomplice, let's say like a getaway driver, like you're not the actual one who went in
Exactly.
and, if Nancy was killed or died, would the FBI, do they ever work deals with someone like a getaway driver? Like if the person got a lawyer and came forward and said, I'll give you the info.
That's what I was wondering. I've talked about this saying 2 or 3 people. Let's say we have one coming from the front and he's got his walkie-talkie. The other one's coming around, and then we've got a driver waiting to have the 2 men pick up Nancy and bring her in the car to either dispose of her or what have you. Because again, there was no ransom note ever left. It took almost 2 days for them to even say that they wanted money. And then once they did say they wanted money, they went to TMZ and a news station, which would no kidnapper would ever do, because then everybody would be looking at them. What's up, Fugitive TV? Almost like they have nothing or don't want to see anything interesting. Right. He is not him. Nanny's son looks closer to the burger's eyes. All right, let's continue. AI generated. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
I want the $1 million, but I don't want to.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
But yeah, it's not
maybe.
Well, it's not the law enforcement officers that can make that deal. That's the prosecutor. So if it's the AUSA or the DA, whoever has the case, and you could carve that portion of the case off to, let's say, the DA could carve that off to the AUSA if that works better for them. And some things a lot of people don't realize is when you're in a task force environment like this, we do carve things up, and we carve it up nicely. For example, you've seen how the FBI is handling the ransom notes. They're handling all the technical data, and the sheriff is handling the DNA and whatever else. Now, when it comes to prosecution, we can carve that up too, to say who can hit this perpetrator the hardest, who can give him the most jail time, are the state charges tougher than the Fed charges, or vice versa. And you just have these discussions, you have these meetings, and you figure these things out. The same will hold true when you're trying to make a deal. Hey,
I mean, has anyone seen anyone really trying to make a deal? There's rumors that Nancy was involved in Medicare, and the person called in on JLR and said she wondered if it started from there. I mean, there's a lot of rumors, Kathy. I agree that I'm gonna have to. Yeah, you guys talk and chat about that. There are a ton of rumors going around, and today I said, let's try to focus on what we have, what we've seen, and then double back around to what law enforcement is saying, what they're not saying, and what happened today and this weekend. Because, I mean, it feels like we've gone in a complete circle and like we just started. And yet people are saying that there's a cold case. Yeah, if there was no kidnapping and they didn't ask for money, then what happened? What was the point of all this? Good to see you, True Seeker Jacqueline. All right, some people think the dude is a woman. Well, we've looked at the eyes, and we looked and said, it could be a possibility.
The feds, can you guys give this guy a great deal if he comes forward? It's going to be his lawyer that's going to reach out to the DA and or the AUSA to try to start a conversation. And that's what we're hoping right now. But there's no way this case is cold, because way too many people are just too tied into it. Every single solitary cop on that sheriff's department, every FBI agent that's touched this thing, they want this perpetrator brought to justice, and they'll never forget. I mean, if you look at,
yeah, I don't even know what that means, Cole SF. That's why I didn't say anything, because is it a Medicare scam? What are we talking here? I've heard a lot of rumors too about, somebody was stalking Savannah. Even Savannah wrote a book, and Savannah's involved because she wrote a book. We've gone through the motions of Annie and Tommaso, and they're telling us, don't look at that, look away, look somewhere else. So I don't know what involved in Medicare means, because I don't want to dig into that. What I do want to dig into today is who the heck targeted Nancy Guthrie, because this is targeted. This is a targeted attack. No way, no how you're going to tell me it wasn't targeted. For what reason, I don't know. But when you have somebody coming nights before to scope out the scene, and they come back the night that she was taken, and the person that goes up to the front door doesn't even realize there's a camera, has to pull out bushes, got the wrong belt holster with the wrong type of firearm and a walkie-talkie. That gives you a big insight to what's happening here, but we still don't know what the motive is. But I don't want to look. I don't know what that means. I don't want to look into conspiracy theories. But the question is, how did they get in the house? Most old people check the doors and windows 10 times before they go to bed. Either someone unlocked the door or they use the key. Well, look at with the Tepe case. We thought that they used the key code, and he ended up going through a window. Law enforcement hasn't even told us if there was a door or window that was broken, and it's only speculated that the back door was left wide open. So maybe they got in through the garage. Maybe they had a keypad. We really don't know. I mean, it's all speculation right now.
Going all the way back to Whitey Bulger, he was on the lam for 16 years. We were always looking for him. We never stopped. And then we finally got him.
What do you think the pressure is like for the agents? I mean, knowing that, President Trump has brought up the case, obviously Kash Patel talks about it. Like, does that impact the agents working it? Is there a heightened sort of like, we gotta solve this?
No, but it will let them know that if we need more resources and we feel it's necessary and we can write it up, we'll get them. So in that regard, it's good. But we always try to just block that out as noise. We're just going to do our work and, keep everything else out of it. Because we're always thinking about doing what's right for the victim. And when that's your goal, and no matter who the victim is, I mean, even if the victim is a criminal, we have to do whatever we can and do what's right to help them. But in a situation or a case where the victim is the most vulnerable in our community, like a baby, a small child, an old person, then, you really tend to put a little more heart in it. It's like,
I mean, now listen, and yes, when we see the, America's Mother, you watch the Today Show and you see Nancy Guthrie with Savannah, and she's on there cooking her famous fried chicken, and you see the love that mom and daughter have. Yeah, our hearts go out, and now we're at 30 days. And at the beginning, they're saying we got to find her because she's on medication and she could die. Well, we're 30 days in. This has been an absolute bust as far as a ransom goes, because they haven't even really asked for a ransom directly, and the language has changed. We think it's two separate people. Then we've got Tommaso's old band buddy saying, hey, where's the money? Where's the Bitcoin? We're getting tired of it. This is not coincidence. It all means something. All right, let's see Jersey so we can complete that. I read that Nancy was working for Medicare fraud, and she found millions of dollars that weren't accounted for. The big companies are being investigated because of Nancy. Okay, so there's a theory there. Again, there's a lot of theories. Trump has been talking about this case since the beginning that it started. So people are now saying that it's a distraction from the Epstein files. I mean, I don't want to go there. Nancy has been on the show several times, but one of the last shows that I saw was her making her famous fried chicken. I'm sure, I don't know. I didn't count or look at the days when she was on there, but I do know that Savannah's a big public figure and that everybody knows that Nancy is close to her mom. She's been on the show. They know who she is. They know she's like a local kind of celebrity. All right. Yeah, there you go, Sin. Thank you. A bunch of times. Not sure the exact dates, but she's been on there a bunch of times. Very well known who's who and what's what. Now, Fugitive TV says everything is connected. We just don't know how or why yet. Yes, that I would have to agree with. And they're not going to tell us what we need to know, because then that person's going to get away. If it's true that he had a practice go, he felt comfortable going back, only someone that's inside knowledge about the house and Nancy. And that I obviously agree with as well. and why they're saying it's targeted.
It's like team sports. When you're on the team, do you always play hard? Yeah, you always play hard, but sometimes you play a little harder, and you can't help it. That's just, that's just human nature.
What about the FBI sending, agents back to Phoenix, which is like 2 hours away? Is that a bad sign?
Not to me, because I'd rather be working from my office, because the FBI has a bunch of closed systems. So we can't just jump on the internet and do all this stuff. I mean, you can for certain things, but a lot of our stuff is very sensitive. So we like to use the FBI systems that are closed to all outside sources. And so it's much easier to work out of a big division or a big office and have everything that you need. You've got the evidence room, you've got access to the cast team, you've got access to everything that you normally would have when you're working an investigation, instead of doing it a little bit on the fly with a laptop and meetings and zooming in, and you can't do a lot of things on Zoom. And so I think it's actually good. It'll give them a chance to, because there's a lot of this work is just elbow grease. It's just hard work. You just got.
Now remember, it kicked up from 18,000 leads to 50,000 leads almost overnight because of the $1 million that they offered, the $1 million reward. All right. And thank you. I appreciate that, Fugitive TV. Much love to you as well. All right. So your Mabster's still here. I heard that wasn't true about Nancy working where you're saying from another show. That just checked into it. Nancy's been on the show, the Today Show with Savannah. Now, all the other things, there's a lot of clickbait out there. Even my dear mother today sent me a link and said, I'm not sure if it's true. She didn't know it was clickbait. All right. A lot of people don't know. And so they're following these clickbaity AI things. And I don't think that has anything to do with this case. Nano messed up at the beginning, letting people clean the pool, deliver pizza. He doesn't even speak correctly. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. Exactly. Let's continue. Now, did you guys know that behind the scenes? Now, I don't know if Cajun Navy realizes now they're looking at this and they've done this a long time, and they're saying, all right, we're looking at these ransoms. Don't seem to really be a ransom. Savannah's putting out these $1 million rewards. Nothing's happening. So United Cajun Navy, I showed you the other day, said they don't want any part of the reward. If they were to help solve the case, it would go to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Well, as of February 26th, Cajun Navy are making a plan that they're going to submit to Pima County and FBI in order to try. We don't know what that is. He explains that local volunteers are currently coordinating and developing a tactical operational plan to submit to the sheriff Barney Fife. All right. He says it's difficult and hostile desert terrain, emphasizing that it's challenging and it's a challenge for people on the ground, but not for them. So they're trying to Gil makes a direct plea. This guy in Cajun Navy is directly pleading to Savannah, asking her to reach out to United Cajun Navy to discuss their resources and how they can help her find her mother. Okay. And now at this point, I would take any and all help unless it was going to disturb something that FBI or Pima County has. Casey Case, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you. All right. And Nina, if I didn't thank you for that. And the Guilty of Crime membership, as well as the super sticker. All right, let's continue. So they're hatching a plan, and at this point, I think it's clear to all of us that it's probably a body recovery at this point, and there's harsh desert terrain out there, and her body can be anywhere in that terrain. It could be right near the house, and we don't even know it.
Get down to the work. It's like doing your taxes. You just got to do it. You got to go through it. You got to push.
Oh God.
Do they ever bring in a whole new set of, if you're an agent working a case and it goes unsolved for a while, will they ever cycle out with a new team to come in, kind of like just for a fresh set of eyes?
Probably not a team, but the case agent is the person that has the ticket or has that case, or a squad. there's always going to be new people coming to the squad and some people transferring off the squad, whether they're going to another division, going overseas, going to whatever. So there's new blood in there. And sometimes they'll just have the new person, hey, I want you to take a look at this section and tell me what you're thinking. Or, you have a squad meeting about the case and you talk about everything and you read.
And I mean, that's what they're doing, but they're giving us as little information as possible. Sadie's mama is a member for 23 months, which is the longest you could be a member here. Thank you. Praying for Nancy Guthrie. Love my crime crew familia. Now, Raven Gypsy saying the FBI already debunked the car. What do you mean debunked the car? Cajun Navy wants the $1 million. Sorry, don't trust them. Keeping them operation. Well, you know what? If they were to recover Nancy Guthrie, give them the $1 million. Who cares, right? We just want her to be brought home, in my opinion. But you're right, the jab. Money causes a lot of people to lose their morals and their ever-loving mind. And the jab, that's why there's enough true crime for the rest of our lives to cover. A wife's always going to get greedy when her husband has a $5 million life insurance. A husband's always going to get greedy when his wife has a big life insurance and he starts dating somebody or cheating or whatever. Money is the root of all evil. And what you said, the jab, is 100%, in my opinion, correct.
Direct, you pivot, you try something new. You're always thinking about new things. Then you set up a meeting with the Pima County Sheriffs. Hey, we've got this. Do you have anything that dovetails to this? What can we do together? Is there anything we can do to augment what you're doing? Is there anything you can do to augment what we're doing?
Is it good in some ways if the public moves on? Like, because, with so much attention on it, every little thing they were doing, the media's picking up on. Is it good if there is not that much attention for a while?
No. Well, I think it would have been good if there was less press in front of the House when they were trying to do all their investigative stuff. I was never comfortable with that because you can't even really talk, and if you're with someone you're mentoring or you're with someone who's your mentor, you don't even feel comfortable asking a question because you think everyone's listening or whatever, or watching. And so I like to have a little more autonomy or a little more freedom when we're actually working a case because it's such a great place to learn. And I mean, even though people there are all highly, highly trained, it's still a great place to learn. And sometimes, I don't know, I was just never really comfortable.
Hey, I'm sorry if I missed you. Casey Case, yes, you're absolutely a member. That's the first membership you bought, and I pulled it up earlier and thanked you. I don't know, maybe you're a little bit behind, but yes, you absolutely are now part of the Crime Crew official. Thank you. All right. Her body could have been taken her body could have been taken anywhere. That's why they need to track the leads as far as cell phone pings go, as far as any of the vehicles that they've detained and they're still looking at, right? That's what we need. We don't know if there might actually have been a ransom note. That's what we're saying. We don't know because there's a lot of people, but we don't think there was. And not only do we not think there was, why would these people send a ransom note to the whole world if they didn't want that attention? It's not the money, in my opinion, that they were seeking. It was attention. But for what? I don't know.
With people breathing down my neck, so to speak. And you're the one breathing down people's necks, Brian Enton.
I know. I feel bad. It's just my job, though.
I know.
But even with the drones now, it is like we can see everything. I mean, back in the day before drones, I remember you'd have to have the chopper up, and that was only up for a little while. Now you can keep the drone up, and we can keep an eye on pretty much everything they're doing.
Crazy. It's so much worse now than it was.
Do you think
so? That's difficult.
Yeah, I thought about that because when we follow them around the backside, I'm like, they've got to hear the drone and just be like, oh my God, like, we are not listening to what they're saying, obviously.
Right.
Do you think they did enough at the scene? I mean, last night I noticed late last night the deputy finally left, so there's no longer a deputy guarding the house anymore. It's just
so that's what I want you guys to realize. We're on day 30, and people are starting to pull out. I don't know how they could call this a cold case by any means, just because of the sheer amount of leads that are coming out in the case. However, once media pulls away and law enforcement stops talking and there's no press conference and FBI is not saying anything, that's when it gets cold in our minds and we move on. So we're not out there like, hey, we need to urgently bring Nancy home. That's when the ball drops, because just like the case of just like the case with the white van that we saw. Like, why is her mind escaping me right now? Anyway, the social media sleuths are the one that called in the tip that saw the van for what case was it, guys? There's a lot of cases that social media help solve by a tip coming in. And so I think that's what they're leaning on right now. And her name is escaping me. You guys know what I'm talking about. Gabby Petito. Thank you, Jersey. Thank you, Jersey. Thank you, Pam, for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. If you received a membership, please thank Pam. So, yes, thank you. Thank you, Ebony, the Jab, Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito was ultimately, her body was found and things were solved a lot faster because online sleuths spotted the van and they knew the area they were driving by and they took a picture, and that's how her body was found. Thank you, Jody Lynn, we have 253 in chat. It's free to hit that like button. If you guys would do so, that'd be awesome. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's continue. We do not want this case to go cold, but we want more information.
I want to talk about that for a second, Brian, because no one even knew that guy was there. No one even knew they were guarding that until you mentioned it the other day. I was shocked. Everyone said, "Oh, they just released the scene and it's a free for all."
Well, it was a free for all initially. Like when we got the video of the blood on the front steps, they released the scene. Like then they left. There was no one there for those first couple of days. It was just like a normal house, back again. But then when everything started to come out and the FBI got involved, like day 3 or 4. Then they came back after we got that video and everything. And there's been a deputy there around the clock since then, up until yesterday, when they officially said, okay, it's now back in the family's control.
So I don't know what they did on their search of that house. They could have done an outstanding job. I don't know. One would think that they would have.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm just, again, we're totally speculating whether they're 2 people, 3 or more. If they were watching so closely Nancy Guthrie's house and how she moved, when she was going to dinner, when she was coming back, is it a possibility that someone was already in the house? Nancy Ezra says you need a lot of money to have great vacations. Is there a possibility that someone was already in the house after Nancy left? They had snuck in. Now remember, Nancy took herself on an Uber to dinner. Now let's take out of your minds that Tommaso and Annie were being jerks and didn't want to pick her up. Let's say that Nancy Guthrie is strong-headed like my mom and says, you know what? I don't want you to bother. You're busy making dinner. You're getting the kids ready. I'm just going to hop on an Uber and come over and do dinner and game night. Now, when she left on that Uber, we haven't seen video footage of an Uber picking her up or her walking out. We have no idea what happened between the time she called that Uber. And remember, the Uber driver could have also been like, oh, shoot, I've been called to this house. This lady has money. Her mom's the Today Show host. She's out there all by herself. We don't know what happened there. Why aren't we seeing Nancy walk out of the front door when the Uber picks her up? Did she go out from the garage? And maybe when she left from the garage, someone snuck under there prior to, was in the house, and then they came back since they were scoping it out? I mean, yes, exactly. And so if we take that away from the situation and remember what happened in between those times, and where's that video of her leaving to go to dinner in the first place? Why would that have been recorded over, but not the other stuff?
More DNA if someone spent 41 minutes in there.
Yeah, there you go.
Just corrupted DNA or whatever, or like a mixture. But I'm hoping that they did a really outstanding job. And, go back to Kohberger and go back to all these other cases. They always had way more than they let us believe they had.
Yeah.
And I've never worked a case where the press got it right. we always had way more than
Yep.
anyone knew. And you're proud about that. You're proud that you've been able to, tamp that down and keep it under wraps, because it's important for the preservation of the investigation. The person you have to think about every day is Nancy. Every day you think about Nancy. What would be the best thing we could do for Nancy? Just keep your mouth shut, work the case, bring it to a logical conclusion, and find out who did this.
Now, can you imagine if law enforcement has said this to Savannah, has said, hey, we believe this is a targeted attack. We're looking at several people. We can't tell you much, but we absolutely have information that points to somebody really close in your family that targeted your sister, but you can't be suspicious towards anyone, and you can't act weird, and you can't throw them off because we're investigating right now and we don't want to freak them out. Can you imagine what's eating Savannah up? Why she looked so good 3 weeks before this happened, and now we've seen the life just drain out of her? We're not seeing that with Andy and Tommaso because we're not really seeing them. They're kind of out of the picture. Was Nancy able to walk from the garage to the Uber? Yes. According to everybody, yes. She used a cane. She walked with a cane, and it wasn't 50 feet. It was 50 yards that she would be able to walk without help. All right. And says, guilty of crimes, enthusiasm, and sincere effort to stay reasonable and fair-minded. Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I'm surprised the Uber driver hasn't spoken out. Maybe he or she has been told not to. Exactly. Where did that Uber driver come in? And 41 minutes. Yeah, think about that. Dude's holding a flashlight in his mouth. He's slobbering everywhere. I would get a big, huge swabby thing and test everything. And listen, Jody Lynn, they supposedly have. But what they tested has showed the results that everything they tested was people that would be in the house that should be in the house, which also could translate to it's an inside job with somebody that should be in the house. All right. Don't think that they haven't tested everything. All right. I don't know why chat froze like that, but I'm here, guys.
Yeah, and I've wondered some of the stuff that even the FBI has released. It was federal sources who said that one photo came from earlier and it wasn't from the same day. Remember the two photos from the front?
Yeah,
and then
which kind of surprised me. I actually thought that photo, if you and I were to put money on it when we first saw it, I would have said that photo was from after Nancy was put in the vehicle. He came back without his backpack on, and he was checking to make sure he didn't drop anything.
Hey, let me tell you why they believe that it was 41 minutes, Raven. I'm just going to answer this in the best way I can. The reason they're saying that it was 41 minutes, I believe, is due to the time that Nancy was dropped off, and when her pacemaker went offline, and when they saw the person or people at the front door. And I'm sure they haven't released everything. There's no way that they pulled that video subscription from Google and just spread it out to the public. No way, no how. Braddy, thank you so much. She said, thank you for everything you do. Thank you. I appreciate it. But that timeline of 41 minutes was built on, Rocco says, the whole 41-minute thing bothered me. How did they know it took 30 minutes to get in? Or they don't. They don't, or they do have information and they're not telling us why. And maybe they're building that timeline on something they haven't told us. Jay, it sounds like the kidnapping was something made up at the time. I agree. They accidentally, they were going to kill her, or they accidentally did. I don't know. I don't even want to go there, because I don't see how a kidnapping can be a kidnapping if you don't ask for ransom. And when you do, you ask the whole world. Now you've got law enforcement, FBI, and everybody looking at you. That's just not how it works.
But see, I was wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sheriff is insisting that they don't know still, that it could be from the same day. But I actually have one of the federal sources, and I believe that it is going to be from a previous day. I don't know this part, but I think it's going to end up being the January 11th day. Because they were asking it just makes sense. They were asking all the neighbors for video from that day. So they must have known that he was there that day,
Right.
Which is weeks earlier, which it's interesting with the neighbors. They were really creeped out by that. Just knowing that this guy was casing the house possibly for weeks.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
Right, since
especially if you consider what if he was casing 4 or 5 of those houses.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I would have my house locked down with cameras right now, and the street.
Yep.
If I lived on that block, I'd be getting cameras on the street to see who's driving down my block.
You know, remember, has law enforcement cleared anything up? Good night, Sin. Thank you for being here. As long as you have, we're gonna finish this video and then we'll wrap it up. But I mean, what are they not telling us? And when is a big piece of information going to come out? They absolutely know more. Why aren't they telling us? And what is it that they're holding back? Now, law enforcement said nobody should be worried because they believe it was a targeted attack for Nancy specifically, and no one else is in danger. How do they know that? And why haven't they come out and made a statement to say, okay, that's not correct? We've got, we've detained several different people and released them with nothing to give us. No information on why they detained them or let them go. No information about anything. Everything, we know nothing. So why wouldn't people be scared?
And another thing that people do with cameras, because my company does security threat assessments and cameras and stuff like that. Everybody always puts a camera from like up here. You have to put one up here and then one like down here, right, because there, when a bad guy sees a camera, they always turn down to the other side, and that's where we always hide a camera. So when they turn away, we get a much better.
Good idea. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
And always get.
But the same holds true for the cameras on the street. You want to get it where you can see the vehicle and see what kind of vehicle it is, but you also want one that sees the tag. And you're going to want to see one that's going to see the tag from behind, because not everyone has tags on the front of the cars. Is Arizona a state where they don't have to have a tag on the front? Is that correct?
I'm in a parking lot right now. No, they don't. At least the ones I'm looking at out here, they don't have to. Do you have to in California?
Yes.
Yeah, in Florida, where I'm from, you don't either.
Yeah, so then you have to position your cameras in such a way that they'll capture a tag from the rear of the vehicle.
So do you? I mean, you've been working on, not on the inside working on it, but we've been talking about this case for a long time now. It's been almost a month. Do you have one theory that you're holding on to? I mean, is there something in your gut after all you've learned?
Yes.
Are you allowed?
I'm not going to talk about it. No.
Okay, it's still the same thing you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I still don't know what to think. I really don't. Someone asked me outside the house just now, like,
I'm going to stop for a second because, we've changed a couple of theories, but what's always remained the same is that we believe there's multiple people. We believe it's targeted, and we only get what we get in this video. No, I can't imagine any of that, or the shock or the horror, or how being so scared of it is. All right. I can't imagine that, but are they going to come out and tell us something soon? Because look at right now, you guys are asking the smart questions, and we're trying to find out. The Range Rover was seized on February 13th. You've got Luke saying he did nothing, agents photographing his vehicle before towing it, and then law enforcement has not stated that the vehicle belongs to a suspect or is part of the investigation. There's no report, there's no law enforcement source or anybody indicating that the SUV has been returned. Same with the Tommaso and Annie vehicle. There's no indication or evidence or anything, not even an inside source that says these vehicles are done being processed and they've been back, right? Investigators, are looking for DNA, fibers, soil, digital forensics, logs, whatever the black box is that tells you how fast, latent prints, surveillance footage, possibly. Now, a separate vehicle belonging to Nancy's daughter, Annie, and Tommaso are also still being held. The vehicle is still part of the investigations, is what officials are saying. All right. It's weird because they're saying that they're being held as part of the investigation, but they're also saying that no vehicles are connected to the case and everything connected to the case can't be released. So it's like they're contradicting themselves a lot. All right. So nothing has been released. Maureen thinks it was a sexual assault at 41 minutes inside alone. Interesting. I heard about that and possible DNA on the sheets or blankets, but I don't know.
So what do you really think? It's just, I don't know. It's so mysterious. I sit outside the house and I look at the door and I just think about like what happened here early on February 1st. I still don't know what to think.
there've been a couple of days where I wake up in the morning and wonder what in the hell happened, because there are just too many competing
Yes, exactly. Yes.
portions of this case sort of colliding, it seems like.
Yep.
And it's like in the even in the Koberger case, or the Idaho case, I should call it, because I don't want any credit. Even in that case, it was pretty clear to me from walking around the back of that house where it happened, that someone was stalking one of the girls and went in there to do what he did to them. And then it turned into a fight. Oftentimes it ends up being a lot more physical than you imagine. And so it turns into a fight, and then he wakes up the other people, and now he's in a fight at the next landing lower. And then, he was exhausted. The reason he probably didn't notice that roommate downstairs was because when you're in a situation like that, your eardrums are pounding. Like, have you ever been in a situation where all you can hear is boom, 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 boom,
No,
boom,
I don't
boom?
think I have.
You wouldn't even, you haven't?
What do you mean?
We're gonna have to, when you're really scared, or you're in a fight, or your heart is pounding.
Yeah, I've had that. When it's, and you can just feel it. Yeah.
What she's saying is like the fear. I'm sure you guys have had that fear. Maybe you're out in the middle of the lake, and all of a sudden you drop your, oh shoot, I can't row back, I just lost my only thing, and everything hits you. Boom, boom. That's what she's talking about, that fear. What's up, Rachel 508? How you doing? If ever she look shoes, is this on purpose? When Annie goes, I think she thinks it's the family. That's why she doesn't want to say anything. That's a good assumption, Nina. Or somebody really closely connected to the family. That's a good point, Nina. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's another reason why I keep thinking that the family, or public relations type of deal, FBI, family staged the people, the three, Nancy and Annie and Tommaso, to look like they're so close and compassionate to each other. I feel like it's staged on purpose so that we're not looking at them in that way. Yes, there you go. All right, let's continue. He's like, yeah, I know what fear is.
Or door squeak open, or was you just get tunnel vision a little bit when you've been involved in a fight, and then another fight, and then another fight. He was just trying to get out of there, and he was probably breathing very heavy, and his ears were pounding, and you become hyper focused. So that's what I think happened there.
Okay, so regardless, you're saying the shoes are the flipping same. Experts have said the shoes aren't the same, but we also have not found out if it was the same day, or if it was a different time that the two people were at the door. Nobody's confirming it. And listen, my ex of 58 days in Baran, no word. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm definitely feeling well. All right. I agree the ransom is suspect, but I can't understand why they haven't cracked who it is. Not a trace, all the resources. I know that, and I think that's what we're all looking at today. Look at the video today. Which video? If you want to drop a link or send me an email.
How does that connect back to Nancy, though? You think that the person may have been in the same state?
Well, no, what I'm saying is with that situation, everyone was saying, well, how could it be with 4 people? There had to be 3 people in there all at once. No, that didn't make sense to me. You always go to start with the simpler version. What could have happened? Why did it happen? First of all, if you start asking why would this happen? Why would this be of value to anyone? Who would gain something from this? And what would it be that they would gain? So when you start from that type of mindset, you can oftentimes find an easier path of what happened, or what you think happened, or what your theory is, or a working theory, or starting theory, or whatever. But there were just too many strange things going on. And now that the ransom notes have been debunked, it sort of clears the path a little bit. The fact that no one's coming forward for this $1 million when they can get it, it's if you can get it in cash.
Also, it looks and it sounds like now Annie and Tommaso's car has been released, and the DNA sample may be coming back with answers. So how do we know this and what? And we've thought that too. Thank you, Rachel. Please email me. guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. There's such a mysterious case. We have so many thoughts. I wonder if we're going to find out. I think we are going to find out in the end, and I don't think we're going to be too off as long as we don't go on to conspiracy theories. No motion all over the web. Now we have them together and lots of emotion. Right. All right. Let me continue.
It's tax free because there's how they got to find out who you are.
Right.
You know, that tells me it wasn't a kidnapping, that it was a murder.
There you go.
Because
And
if
if you're gonna,
they would have proof of life and they would be trying to get something, right?
Yes.
absolutely,
I mean, that's the whole point.
the whole
That is-
point. It's like opening a restaurant and never serving food. No one.
Exactly. It's like going on a date and you're both attracted to each other and you're not doing anything about it. Then you're not. Then, or you're thinking, oh, is that person? You're both, but nothing ever happens and you never talk to him again. That is perfect what she said. You go out to a restaurant to eat and you don't eat anything. Well, then what are you doing? Just stalking someone in the restaurant? What's going on? That is a perfect to say. This is a kidnapping without a ransom and without proof of life of a person. Nina, thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. That makes no sense other than it wasn't a kidnapping. It was simply, and it's not simply, but it was a murder.
It's going to do that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's not even a robbery gone wrong because they didn't steal anything.
So it's more of either a murder or like an abduction.
Or a murder where somehow the offender's DNA got someplace on her or something like that. Or, you know, I'm still operating under the assumption that he had a tarp with him to roll her up and carry her out. I don't know, but time will tell. And I'm still praying that she's being cared for someone, but those hopeful thoughts are diminishing with no one coming forward for the $1 million.
Right. I interviewed this local detective who was in that he's retired now, but he was in that area for a long time, working that area, and he worked burglaries in that area.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was he was great, and he really thinks that it's a burglary gone wrong. And he was explaining to me that with these burglars in that area, when he used to investigate them, they all have criminal histories, so that they'll do anything not to get caught. He was saying they'd run barefoot through the cactuses just because they.
And that's what I don't think it is a robbery gone wrong because they took nothing. All right. Jody Lynn, thank you for becoming a member. And the Jab says you're not committing something like this because you're bored. If ransom motive, then money is needed for specific reason, usually quickly. And you don't go to law. You don't go to the media and tell everyone you just committed this massive crime. Good night, Braddy. Have a good one. Appreciate you. I'm about to show you that I guess the car's released. I was just telling you that none of the vehicles were released. They're now saying that Annie and Tommaso's car has been released.
They know that they're screwed because they've already got these histories. They're going to end up in jail for a long time. So he thinks that his theory was something went wrong where Nancy died, and they'll do whatever it takes to cover that up because they don't want to take the blame for that since they've already got a criminal history.
Okay. I mean,
she's like,
his theory is as good as anyone's, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked that area and he sounded very squared away. And, it was sad to hear in his voice, the hardship that the department is going through and the office or the detectives and deputies are going through because of all this nonsense that has happened. I just hope that the sheriff turns out to be some sort of genius that outsmarted all of us. I really hope that's the case.
So she's not buying it. I'm not buying it. A lot of us are not buying it. She's not telling us what she's thinking. And all we can do is just keep looking at the evidence that comes in, right? I mean, other than that, we're speculating. Will the person or accomplice, if there's an accomplice, turn and start talking? That's what we want to find out. So we're going to have to just keep on waiting until they announce something. But I am going to show you this before we head out. Annie and Tommaso's car was released and the DNA update.
Who says that he has sources close to the Nancy Guthrie investigation has provided 2 updates today.
take this how you will. The first update is that Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Sione's vehicle is no longer being held as evidence. It was returned back to them. Another source claimed that the car was still in the process of being returned back to Annie and Tommaso, so I'm not sure of the discrepancy there, just sharing what is being circulated online. The next update, he says, was pertaining to the DNA sample found in Nancy Guthrie's bedroom. He says the first thing is that the sample is partial, male, and likely Hispanic. We knew that already. The second thing is that the sample was recovered from Nancy Guthrie's bedding. The third thing is that Nancy was likely approached while she was asleep in bed and was taken out of bed at some point, which begs the question, how did this masked individual get inside Nancy's residence?
And guys, that's why this is coming out to us as they got DNA from the sheets. Oh, that means it was an actual assault then. All right. So you're right. You're right. And V room, it seems like it's a waiting game. I mean, we're getting information that the car was released by a source. Are we going to have to wait a week to actually hear that from law enforcement? Because we've been talking about the walkie-talkie theory, the gun theory, the multiple people theory. How long are we going to have to wait? And what good is that going to do? Big deal. They released David's Tesla in a matter of days and had a dead body. Right. Wow.
If there was no signs of forced entry. Remember, there was like drone shots of around Nancy's home, and none of the locks appeared to have been tampered with. There wasn't any broken windows. There wasn't any like damages to any of the doors. The partial sample can be matched, not with 100% certainty, but it is not viable for IgG. So the DNA can match to someone if they have a suspect or person of interest, but they can't use it for IgG. The fifth thing is that the sample was not from body fluids, and the sixth is that SA is a very real possibility here. There's been a lot of people who have questioned the Midwest pundit and their credibility. For me personally, I also question them a little bit. I'm not sure why someone would make any of this up, especially the last thing. Regardless, though, you know, I'm going to continue updating you guys and sharing everything that I see online pertaining to this case. So take this how you will. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. All right, guys.
All right, so I mean, we could go on and on today. Like I said, we looked at Luke and Zach. I didn't think Zach looked anything like that. Luke, I said, but now we've got him coming out and talking. He does have a lawyer. I'm just recapping today. All right, he's on there. You can go find Luke's interview. It seems like he lied about some things. So what else would he have lied about? And then today we've got a bit of timeline and updates as far as the timeline goes. We're now looking at it a little bit differently with the second video. All right. And the reason we say second is because we were always told that one video, we thought it came from the same night of footage. And now we realize that it's not. They're saying that it's another night. Barney Fife is saying, well, we're only speculating that. And now our original looking at Annie and Tommaso, we're seeing them come together. We're seeing them cry. We're seeing Savannah basically telling us, leave them alone. They're not part of this, but I am doubling down on the reward. So now I think we just have to wait. I mean, we could probably talk about this for another, 3 hours right now. There's a new episode that just came out on Court TV, and it's freaking Nancy Guthrie is the suspect wearing a walkie-talkie, and they just go over everything that we basically did, except they show the picture of the walkie-talkie. But I mean, everything's speculation. We have not. Let me just show you something real quick. I'm going to show you because everyone was talking. Let me show you the walkie-talkie theory, and then we'll let you roll out. We're not watching this whole episode, but I want you to just see what people are talking about. If that's the case, then they absolutely have multiple people that they're communicating with. All right. And yeah, it could be this has a perfect storm for a cold case. We hope not. So let's just take a quick gander at the walkie-talkie theory. There's that picture there that people are talking about that we've seen a bunch of times at the front door. All right, let's take a look at this real quick and see if there's a walkie-talkie that you think. And if so, is that them communicating with each other, multiple people?
The suspect doing the thing that we've seen for the past few weeks, hand over the camera there.
Then he starts to turn, and that's where we start slowing the video down. Now focus there on his jacket pocket, like on the suspect's right below where his hand is. You see the strap obviously coming from the book bag. It looks like something is hanging out of that pocket or near that jacket pocket. Now, we've isolated a still image here with an arrow pointing to that area.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it up here in a second after we watch this. Here we are. See the arrow pointing to the area near his jacket pocket there, pointing toward the alleged object that might be hanging out of the pocket. Now, to me, that doesn't really look like the butt of a walkie-talkie, but it could be a string hanging off something else that's further in his pocket, maybe a walkie-talkie. But to me, it looks like it could be like the little reflective cloth that hangs off the edge.
Now, I think he's looking at the reflective cloth that hangs off the zipper, but there is a, this almost looks like an antenna coming out of the pocket. And I've seen this as a still. Now, I don't know if they AI'd it, but when I say still, you can actually see it a little bit better where it looks like a walkie-talkie. I don't know why they're looking at this here. That looks just like a zipper end. So
of a zipper that's pulled down, if that's a zip-up pocket on that jacket. Now, we also have another angle of this area of the jacket, the pocket area. Now, the blue arrow is pointing to what we know to be the strap hanging from the backpack, but the red arrow is pointing to the area of the pocket. And again, to me, it looks like the colored, maybe dark colored lining of a zip-up pocket with the zipper hanging down. And Vinny, we also have another slow-mo angle of the video, again, playing out in real time. We zoomed in just a little bit more. Let's take another look with our viewers here as he turns. You see the strap, you see the pocket. It's not entirely clear, of course. To me, it doesn't feel like a walkie-talkie. It kind of feels like something may be in his pocket, but it does seem like that thing hanging out could be the zipper. But that's just me.
Right, and it's, you look at it, and it depends on the size of it, right? I looked at it, and it looked like it was almost the same size, maybe even smaller than the strap that was hanging down. Right. That would be way too small. You've got that fish lens camera.
When we're looking at something like this, and we're looking at a pocket that can be a string, guys, and we're going from a string to a zipper pull to a walkie-talkie, I think we have to just go back and look at the actual physical evidence and, play this waiting game. Unless something comes out tomorrow about something being released, the people that have been detained and released, something, I am not going to take any of that off the table, but right now it's just a waiting game. I don't think we know any more than we did yesterday, and they certainly haven't told us anything. So, that's where we leave off here. Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, and Tommaso Cioni visit Nancy Guthrie's house. The house is now free for whoever to go back in. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be selling it anytime soon or doing anything like that. That would be a huge red flag. In the meantime, Nina, we can't wait until we find out. We need to bring Nancy home for the Guthrie family and for everybody. I mean, the people in the Tucson area are being affected by it. Everybody is. All right. That's why they can't stop watching. It's hard to stop watching JLR and nothing's happening. It's like he's just streaming. We're looking at a truck all day and people just talking. That's how serious we're looking into this. And I think we just need to wait until we hear something further. I think there needs to be a pull all suspects in the gloves and see whose hand like a lobster claw. Cheeky. All right, guys. Thank you to everybody that joined the channel, donated, hit the like button, hyped, all of that. Midnight Lace, I didn't miss you. There you go. 6 months already. Member for 6 months. Loved every minute. Thank you. Jody Lynn, thank you for becoming a new member. Nina, thank you for all your contributions. Brady, have a good night. Pam, thank you. Sadie's mama and everybody else that donated to the channel tonight. We will be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I have lots of other coverage from lots of cases. And unless something big comes out, I'm not going to just be looking at the same old footage again. I've got the updates, gruesome updates on the David and Celeste case. There should be an arrest on that very soon. I've got major updates in the Anna Kepner case and so many more that need to be out there. So we're we'll see what happens tomorrow. Whatever needs the most attention is what I will cover tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I did 3 cases today, guys. Tiff helped me put together 3 cases, and this one needed the most attention right now. All right. Love you guys. See you tomorrow, and thank you for all you do. Like, subscribe, and if you get a chance, please hype the video to get us in the algorithm. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Mwah. Love you guys.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?